Have you ever felt the weight of a silence that is not peaceful but empty, a hollow space inside, where a sense of purpose used to be? You exist in a world screaming for your attention, a constant barrage of notifications, opinions, and expectations, yet within you there is a profound quiet. It is the quiet of disconnection, the silence of a soul that has forgotten its own language. You may have achieved what you were told to achieve, built what you were told to build, yet you walk through the rooms of your own life feeling like a visitor, living a reality borrowed from a collective dream that is not your own. This is the true burnout of the modern age, not just an exhaustion of the body, but a deep fatigue of the spirit, a quiet crisis of meaning unfolding behind a capable smile. But what if I told you that within that silent, hollow space there lies something ancient and sacred, not lost, but merely buried? Imagine a scroll, impossibly old, not crafted from parchment or papyrus, but woven from the very fabric of consciousness itself. It is not hidden in a remote mountain monastery or buried beneath the sands of a forgotten desert. It has been with you always. It is the eternal scroll of your own being, the blueprint of your highest self. It is sealed not with wax and ribbon, but by the relentless velocity of your life, by the layers of noise and distraction that have become your world. We have been taught to seek all answers on the outside, to search for maps drawn by other hands, forgetting that the most profound and accurate chart is the one that lies furled within our own awareness. This journey, this audiobook, is an invitation to stop, to cease the frantic outward search. It is an invitation to create a space of stillness, and in that stillness, to begin the process of unsealing that scroll. We will not use our hands, but our intention, and we will use a key. This key is the mantra. Do not mistake this for a magical incantation or a word of power that bends reality to your will. Think of it, instead, as a sound key, a specific vibration, a focused resonance that gently chips away at the seal of distraction. It is the first note in a long-forgotten melody, a single pure tone that can harmonize the chaos of the mind and allow you, finally, to hear the timeless wisdom whispered from the scroll within. This is not a journey to become someone new. It is the journey of remembering who you have always been. The unsealing begins now. Before you can read the silent truth of the scroll, you must first learn to recognize the symphony of lies that plays on repeat within you. Before the key can be turned, you must first study the lock. And the lock, for so many of us, is a prison of our own making. It is not a place of stone walls and iron bars, but one far more intimate and inescapable. It is the echoing prison of the mind. So let us begin there, not with an action, but with a recognition. Let us become still and listen to the sounds that reverberate in the space where peace is supposed to live. This is the first, and perhaps most courageous, step of the journey. This prison is built from the intangible material of your own thoughts, mortared together with the powerful adhesive of emotion. Its walls are your oldest beliefs about yourself and the world, beliefs so foundational you mistake them for the bedrock of reality itself. The bars on the window are the recurring patterns of worry, the neural pathways worn so deep by repetition that escaping them feels like trying to carve a new path through solid granite. Who are the guards? They are the most convincing of all wardens. Your inner critic, your fear of judgment, your relentless planner that insists on mapping out every possible catastrophe. They patrol the corridors of your consciousness day and night, ensuring you remain safely within the confines of the known, even if the known is a place of perpetual, low-grade suffering. The air in this prison is thick with echoes. Listen closely. Can you hear them? The echo of a past failure, a critical word spoken to you in childhood, replaying itself with perfect fidelity decades later. The whisper of a future humiliation, a scenario of loss or embarrassment that has not happened, but which you have lived through in your mind 1,000 times, the drone of your own obligations, the endless to-do list that chants itself into your quietest moments. These are not just thoughts, they are residents. They have furnished the cells of your mind and claimed ownership of your inner world. The most perplexing part of this confinement is that the door is, and has always been, unlocked. So why do we remain inside? Why do we choose the familiar ache of the cell over the terrifying freedom of the open sky? The answer lies in a strange and powerful form of loyalty. We are loyal to our own suffering because it is familiar. We know the shape of our anxiety. We are intimately acquainted with the texture of our self-doubt. This prison, for all its misery, provides a coherent, if painful, sense of identity. To be the one who worries, to be the one who struggles, to be the one who is not quite good enough. These are identities. They are heavy cloaks, but they are cloaks we know how to wear. The alternative, the vast, silent, undefined space of pure being, can feel like an annihilation of the self. The ego, that master architect of the prison, would rather be a king in hell than a servant in heaven. It thrives on problems to solve, on dangers to anticipate, on narratives of lack and struggle. A state of simple, peaceful presence is a threat to its very existence. And so it convinces you that the echoes are you, that the prison walls are the boundaries of your own skin, that the voice of the inner critic is the voice of reason and self-preservation. This is not a flaw in your character, it is a feature of the human mind, a survival mechanism that was designed to protect you from physical threats in a primitive world, now tragically misapplied to the landscape of your own inner life. It builds a fortress to protect you, not realizing it has trapped you inside. But now, in the stillness you are cultivating, a sliver of light appears through a crack in the prison wall, and with that light comes a revolutionary, liberating truth, the first great secret whispered from the unfurling scroll. You are not the echoes, you are not the thoughts, you are not the prisoner, nor are you the prison itself. You are the silent, unwavering awareness that witnesses the entire drama unfold. Think of it this: a thought of anxiety is like a dark cloud moving across the sky. For years you have believed you are the cloud, dark, heavy, and full of rain. But your true nature is the sky itself, vast, open, and untouched by the clouds that pass through it. The clouds come and go, storms may gather and rage, but the sky remains, ever present, ever peaceful, in its fundamental nature. When you hear the echo of a past mistake, you are not the echo. You are the space in which the echo resounds. When you feel a wave of fear for the future, you are not the wave. You are the deep, calm ocean beneath it, from which the wave arises and into which it must inevitably dissolve. This realization is the beginning of all freedom. It does not silence the echoes immediately, but it changes your relationship to them entirely. You are no longer their captive. You become their compassionate, impartial witness. You decouple your identity from the noise. So let us engage in the first practice. It requires no special posture, no specific word, no difficult effort. The only requirement is a courageous willingness to be still and to listen. For the next 5 minutes, simply sit or lie down and turn your attention inward. Close your eyes and do nothing. Your task is not to quiet the mind. That is a battle you cannot win. Your task is to listen to it. Become an anthropologist visiting a strange and foreign land, observing the customs of the native inhabitants, your thoughts without judgment. What do you hear? Do not be surprised if the noise intensifies at first. The guards of the prison do not like to be observed. You might hear the planning echo, rehearsing tomorrow's conversations, organizing your schedule. Just listen. Label it gently in your mind. Planning. You might hear the judging echo, critiquing this very exercise, critiquing yourself for not doing it right. Just listen. Label it. Judging. You might hear the remembering echo, replaying a conversation from yesterday. Label it remembering. Do not engage. Do not argue. Do not follow the thought down its rabbit hole. Your only job is to notice the sound, the echo, and to recognize it for what it is, a transient event in consciousness, a cloud passing through your sky. With each thought you notice without being carried away by it, you reclaim a small piece of your own sovereignty. You are teaching yourself, through direct experience, that you are the watcher, not the watched. This practice of pure, non-judgmental attention is the first and most fundamental mantra. It is the unspoken sound of awareness itself. Do this not with the grim determination of a chore, but with the gentle curiosity of a lover, getting to know the hidden, wounded landscapes of your own beloved being. This is how the unsealing begins, not with a grand gesture, but with a quiet, powerful listening. You are listening your way home. You have sat in the center of your own echoing prison, and you have listened. You have borne witness to the chaos, the endless cycle of judgment and fear that has masqueraded as your own identity. The act of listening is profound. It is the dawn of awareness, but for a mind conditioned by a lifetime of frantic activity, pure, formless observation can feel like a terrifying void. The prisoner, accustomed to the four walls of his cell, may panic when the door swings open to reveal an endless sky. The mind will grasp for something familiar to hold on to, and if left to its own devices, it will grasp the familiar, painful bars of its own cage. And so, having acknowledged the storm, we will now gently introduce a single, solid point in the midst of the gale. We will not try to silence the noise. We will give it a rival, a sound of our own choosing. From the cacophony of unconscious echoes, we will create a single, conscious sound. This sound is our anchor. The human mind is a creature of momentum. It is a vast and powerful ocean, and for most of us, the currents have been flowing in the same direction for decades, carving deep canyons into the seabed of our psyche. These are the currents of anxiety, of planning, of regret, of desire. To simply stand on the shore and watch this ocean rage is a feat of incredible strength, but it is not the whole journey. To navigate these waters, we need a tool. The mind's nature is to attach itself. Watch it for even a moment, and you will see this is true. It attaches to a memory, then to a sensation in the body, then to a fragment of a song, then to a worry about tomorrow. It is a restless vine, constantly seeking a branch to wrap itself around. For years, we have unconsciously allowed it to wrap around the thorny branches of our fears and limitations. The practice of mantra is the conscious and deliberate act of offering the mind a new branch, a smooth, strong, and sacred place to rest. We are not trying to kill the vine or stop its growth. We are simply guiding it with infinite patience toward a source of nourishment instead of a source of poison. We are giving the restless ocean of the mind a focal point, a lighthouse in the fog, so that its immense energy is no longer spent crashing against the rocks of self-destruction, but can instead begin to find a deeper, more harmonious rhythm. At this point, a voice within you may rise up in rebellion. It is the voice of the modern, logical, sophisticated self. It may say, "This is foolish. How can repeating a simple sound, a meaningless word, possibly untangle the complex knots of my life? My problems are real, they are intricate, they require analysis and action, not this primitive chanting. Honor this voice. It is the mind's own immune system trying to protect you from what it perceives as nonsense. It is the guard of the prison, warning you that the world outside the walls is dangerous and illogical. But there is another part of you, a deeper, quieter, and far more ancient part. It is the part that is bone-weary of the mind's complexity. It is the part that has recognized that all the analysis, all the intricate problem-solving has only led to more complex problems. It is the part of you that feels the profound exhaustion of constantly trying to think your way to peace. It is this part of you that is ready to surrender the need to understand and to simply try. The invitation of the mantra is not to the intellect. It is an invitation to the soul, to the weary heart that is willing to lay down its arms and trust in a process that is felt rather than understood. Let us now embrace the central purpose of this first sound. It is an anchor. Imagine your consciousness is a ship on a vast, unpredictable sea. The weather changes without your permission. Sometimes the water is like glass and the sun is warm. At other times, a storm erupts from nowhere. The sky darkens, the wind howls, and massive waves of emotion, fear, anger, grief threaten to capsize you. In these moments, you have two choices. You can frantically run around the deck, trying to fight the waves, shouting at the wind, cursing the sky. This is what we do when we get lost in our thoughts, when we argue with reality and desperately try to control our emotional state. We exhaust ourselves and accomplish nothing. The storm is the storm. The second choice is to drop anchor. The anchor does not stop the storm. It does not calm the waves or silence the wind. The ship will still be tossed and turned, but the anchor holds it fast to the seabed of the present moment. It prevents the ship from being smashed against the cliffs of catastrophic thinking, and it prevents it from being swept away into the boundless, terrifying ocean of pure panic. The mantra is this anchor. When a storm of anxiety hits, when waves of sadness roll through you, you do not fight them. You simply return to your anchor. You return to the sound. It becomes your single, unwavering point of focus in the chaos, a declaration that while the storm may rage around you, it will not have you. You will remain present. You will remain here. For this practice, let us choose one of the most ancient and universal mantras, So Hum. It is a Sanskrit mantra that can be translated as I am that, or I am the universe, a recognition of your connection to all of existence. But for now, let us release the need for meaning. Let the words be pure sound, pure vibration. We will link this sound to the most fundamental rhythm of your life, your breath. As you breathe in, let the sound so resonate silently in your mind. As you breathe out, let the sound hum vibrate from your chest, through your throat, and into the space around you. Find a comfortable position. Close your eyes. Take a few deep breaths to settle your body. Then begin. Inhale, SO. Exhale, hum. Do not force it. Do not strain. Let the breath be natural, and let the sound ride upon it as a boat on a gentle current. At first, your mind will wander. This is not a sign of failure. It is a sign that your mind is working perfectly, doing exactly what it has been trained to do. After a few repetitions of So Hum, it will latch onto a thought. What am I making for dinner? Did I send that email? Am I doing this right? The moment you realize your mind has wandered, that is the moment of awakening. That is the moment of mindfulness. Do not judge yourself. Do not be frustrated. The practice is not about never wandering. The practice is about the gentle and compassionate return. As soon as you notice you are lost in thought, gently, as you would guide a lost child by the hand, release the thought and return to your anchor. Inhale, exhale, exhale, hum. You may have to do this 100 times in 10 minutes. That is not 100 failures. It is 100 victories. It is 100 times you chose presence over distraction. 100 times you chose your anchor over the storm. Feel the subtle vibration of the hum in your chest. Let it be a gentle internal massage, loosening the knots of tension stored there. Feel the anchor catching, holding you steady. This is your work now. Not to seek bliss, not to empty your mind, not to achieve a mystical state. Your work is simply to return to the breath, to return to the sound, to return to the anchor. again and again and again. Having dropped your anchor into the seabed of the present moment, you have found a place of relative stability. The ship of your awareness is no longer helplessly adrift. Now, from this newfound stillness, you have the clarity and the courage to look at the land you inhabit. For the mind is not just an ocean, it is also a plot of earth, a garden that was gifted to you at the moment of your birth. It is the most intimate and sacred piece of ground you will ever own. For a moment, stand at its gate and survey the landscape. What has been growing here, in this untended soil, for all these years? This is the next phase of our work. With the stability of the anchor, we now pick up the tools of the gardener. We begin the patient, loving work of cultivating the mind. Look closely at this inner garden. If you are like most, it is a wild and overgrown place. You will see some beautiful, resilient flowers, to be sure, moments of joy, acts of kindness, flashes of insight that have managed to push their way toward the light. But you will also see the weeds, and they are everywhere. They are not there because you are a bad person or a failed gardener. They are there because they are masters of survival, and the garden has been left to its own devices. What are these weeds? They are your automatic negative thoughts, your limiting beliefs, your ingrained habits of self-criticism. See that thick, thorny vine strangling a patch of sunlight? That is resentment, wrapping itself around a past hurt, refusing to let go, and choking any new life that tries to sprout nearby. See that dense, sprawling network of shallow-rooted ground cover that seems to be everywhere? That is anxiety, the what-if weed, constantly spreading, creating a carpet of fear that prevents the deep-rooted seeds of peace from ever germinating. And look there, at that solitary, tap-rooted plant that seems impossible to remove. That is a core belief of unworthiness, a feeling of "I am not enough," driven deep into the soil of your childhood, drawing nourishment from every small failure and casting a long shadow over your successes. These weeds are not your fault, but they are your responsibility. They grew in the dark, nourished by neglect and watered by unconscious attention. They are the natural flora of an unexamined mind. The desire for a beautiful garden is a universal human longing. We see images of it. We dream of a mind that is a tranquil, orderly, sun-drenched sanctuary of peace and creativity. We yearn for that inner landscape, but then we are faced with the reality of the work, and a conflict arises within us, the conflict of the reluctant gardener. There is a part of us that wants the beautiful outcome without the painstaking process. This part sees the sheer number of weeds and feels an overwhelming sense of fatigue before we even begin. It says, "This is too much. It will take forever. Where do I even start?" It looks for a shortcut, a magic formula, a single powerful technique that will clear the entire plot of land overnight. This is the part of us that consumes endless self-help content, always seeking the next piece of information, believing that knowledge alone will somehow transform the garden. But a garden is not changed by reading books about gardening. It is changed by the slow, repetitive, and often mundane act of putting one's hands in the soil. The inner conflict is between our grand spiritual aspirations and our resistance to the humble, moment-to-moment work of practice. It is the desire for enlightenment clashing with the unwillingness to patiently pull a single stubborn weed. Here is where the function of your mantra deepens. It is no longer just a passive anchor holding you in place. It becomes your primary gardening tool. It is the act of cultivation itself. Understand this clearly. Every single thought that arises in your mind is a seed. When a thought of self-doubt sprouts, you have a choice. You can pour your attention onto it. You can examine it, analyze it, argue with it, follow its logic, and feel the familiar sting of its poison. When you do this, you are watering the weed. You are giving it your life force, your precious energy. You are helping it drive its roots deeper and spread its seeds for the future. The more you focus on it, the stronger and more dominant it becomes in your inner landscape. But you have another choice. The moment you recognize the thought for what it is, you can deliberately withdraw your attention from it. You can turn the sunlight of your awareness away from the weed and shine it instead on the flower you wish to cultivate, the sound of your mantra. Every time you gently return your focus to the SO hum of your breath, you are pulling a weed. It may not feel dramatic. The weed may sprout again a moment later, but you have subtly de-energized it. You have refused to feed it, and simultaneously you have fed your flower. You have watered the seed of presence. This is the art of sacred gardening. It is not a violent battle. You are not to go into your mind with a flamethrower trying to burn everything in sight. Anger and frustration are just more powerful forms of fertilizer for the weeds. The work is gentle, firm, and endlessly patient. Let us make this practical. As you go about your day or during your formal practice, a familiar negative thought will inevitably arise. Let's say it's the thought, "I will never be able to handle this." The first step is recognition. Without judgment, simply label it in your mind. The "I can't handle it" weed. See it clearly. Acknowledge its presence. The second step is not to fight it. Do not start an internal argument. "Yes, I can. I am strong." This is just another form of wrestling with the weed. Instead, you perform a gentle act of redirection. You consciously and lovingly turn your focus back to your anchor, to your flower. You take a deliberate breath. You feel the SO on the inhale, the hum on the exhale. You are not pushing the thought away. You are simply choosing not to engage with it. You are letting the weed sit there in the garden, but you are cutting off its water supply, its sunlight. You are turning your back on it to tend to something more worthy of your life force. The weed, deprived of your attention, will eventually wither. Its roots will weaken, and the flower of your mantra, nourished by your consistent focus, will grow stronger, its fragrance beginning to permeate the entire garden. This is the path, one thought at a time, one weed at a time, one return to the mantra at a time. It is the slow, steady, and certain path to transforming the wilderness of your mind into a sanctuary of peace. You have begun the noble work of tending your inner garden. With your mantra as your tool, you have started to distinguish between the flowers you wish to cultivate and the weeds of unconscious negativity. But as you work the soil, you will inevitably hit stone. You will encounter patches of ground so hard-packed and dense that your tools seem to make no impression. This hardness, this unyielding quality in the soil, is resistance. It is the next layer of the self we are invited to understand. Resistance often manifests not as a thought, but as a powerful, visceral emotion. And when these emotions arise, the metaphor of the garden gives way to a more dynamic and fluid one. We move from the soil to the water. We must now learn to navigate the great river of feeling that flows through the landscape of our being. The deepest source of human suffering is not pain, but our resistance to pain. Life will inevitably bring moments of loss, disappointment, betrayal, and fear. These are clean pains, pure energetic signals that something requires our attention. Suffering, however, is a secondary layer, a story we add on top of the clean pain. It is the story of "this should not be happening." It is the clenching of the jaw, the tightening of the stomach, the holding of the breath in a desperate attempt to build a dam against the flow of what is. When sadness comes, we resist it with frantic distraction. When anger surges, we resist it with suppression or guilt. When fear whispers, we resist it with false bravado or intellectual rationalization. Each act of resistance is an attempt to defy reality, to declare that the river of life should flow according to our own narrow, fearful blueprint. This dam building is the most exhausting work a human being can do. It consumes immense amounts of life energy, and it is ultimately futile. The river of emotion is a force of nature. When it is dammed, its pressure only builds, until it eventually bursts forth, not as a clean, flowing current, but as a destructive flash flood of rage, a stagnant swamp of depression, or a tidal wave of anxiety. This compulsion to build dams comes from a part of us we can call the inner controller. It is a facet of the ego that believes its survival depends on managing and manipulating every aspect of our inner experience. This controller operates from a place of profound fear. It believes that if it allows you to feel sadness fully, you will drown in an endless ocean of despair. It believes that if you allow anger to move through you, it will erupt into a catastrophic fire that will destroy your life and relationships. It believes that to surrender to a feeling is to be defeated by it. And so, it stands in constant opposition to your own life force. An inner conflict rages between the natural, intelligent flow of your emotional energy and the fearful, rigid grip of the inner controller. You feel a surge of grief, and the controller immediately says, "Don't cry. Get yourself together. Be strong." You feel a spark of righteous anger, and the controller says, "Calm down. Nice people don't get angry." This internal battle is the source of our deep inner tension. It is the friction that creates the heat of suffering. The invitation of spiritual maturity is to learn to lovingly fire this inner controller from its post, to recognize that its methods, while well-intentioned, are the very source of the problem. It is to learn that true strength is not in resisting the river, but in learning how to navigate it. Here, the mantra evolves once more. It was our anchor in the storm, our tool in the garden, and now it becomes our vessel on the river. It becomes our boat. A boat is a masterpiece of intelligent design. It does not fight the river. It does not try to stop the current or drain the water. A boat works with the river. It rests upon the water's surface, using the very energy of the current to move. It provides a safe, buoyant, and contained space from which to experience the river's journey without being consumed by it. When you are in a boat, you can feel the power of the rapids, the spray of the water on your face, the pull of the current, yet you remain safe and present within the vessel. Your mantra is this boat. When a powerful emotion like anger begins to surge through you, you are no longer standing on the bank trying to dam it. You are no longer jumping into the rapids to fight the current. Instead, you step into your boat. You bring your awareness to the steady, rhythmic repetition of so-hum. This simple act creates a space of presence, a buoyant field of awareness. You are now in the river of anger, but you are not the anger itself. You are in the boat of the mantra, observing the current, feeling its immense power, but not identifying with it. This is the profound art of allowing. It is the capacity to be with any and all emotional energies without being swept away by them. Let us translate this into a living practice. The next time a strong, difficult emotion arises, resist your first instinct to push it away or distract yourself. Instead, perform these 3 steps. First is the act of permission. Acknowledge the emotion by name and give it safe passage. You might say to yourself, "Sadness is here now. I can feel it in my chest. It is welcome to be here." This simple act of naming and welcoming is radically transformative. It immediately lowers the resistance. You are laying down your weapons. Second, step into your boat. Begin to silently repeat your mantra. Do not chant it loudly as if to shout over the emotion. That is just another form of fighting. Let it be a gentle, quiet hum underneath the feeling, like the steady, reassuring thrum of an engine. The feeling is the weather. The mantra is your vessel. The emotion can be vast and loud. Your mantra can be small and quiet. Yet it is your focal point, your center of gravity. Third, feel the physical sensations of the emotion without judgment. Where is the anger in your body? Is it a heat in your face, a tightness in your fists? Where is the grief? Is it a hollowness in your stomach, an ache in your throat. Breathe into these sensations while maintaining the gentle rhythm of your mantra. You are simply allowing the energy of the emotion to move through you and express itself as pure sensation without attaching it to a story. You are allowing the river to flow, and you will discover a miraculous truth. When an emotion is fully allowed, when it is met with the spaciousness of your awareness and the steadiness of your mantra, it moves through you and dissolves. The river flows on. You are not drowned. You are not broken. You are simply sitting in your boat, a little wiser, a little freer, ready for whatever comes around the next bend. As the turbulent river of emotion is allowed to flow without resistance, it naturally finds its way to a vast and placid lake. After the struggle of the rapids, there is an immense relief in this stillness. This great, silent lake is the present moment. For the first time, perhaps, the water is calm enough for you to see your own reflection without distortion. But what do you see? For most of us, the reflection is still unclear, murky, and obscured. We have learned to navigate the currents, but now we must learn to purify the water itself. We must learn to clean the mirror of the now, so that we may finally see the truth of who we are, free from the ghosts of yesterday and the phantoms of tomorrow. The human mind is a master of time travel. It is a vessel designed with the miraculous ability to project its awareness backward into memory and forward into imagination. This ability is a gift when used consciously for learning and planning. But for most of us, it has become a curse. It has become an addiction. We spend our lives as ghosts, haunting the graveyards of our own past. We wander through the museum of old grievances, polishing the statues of our regrets, rereading the plaques of our traumas. We engage in imaginary arguments with people who are no longer in our lives, trying to win battles that have long since been lost. Or we launch ourselves into the future, a phantom realm of pure speculation. We construct elaborate fantasies of success that bring a fleeting moment of pleasure. Or more often, we build detailed blueprints of disaster, living through 1,000 potential failures before a single real event has occurred. We exist in a state of perpetual anticipation or perpetual reminiscence, and in doing so, we completely miss the only place where life is actually happening. The past is a cancelled check. The future is a promissory note. Only the present moment is cash in hand. Yet we choose to live our lives in a state of self-inflicted poverty, dwelling in the debts of yesterday and the imagined credits of tomorrow, while the vast treasure of the now sits untouched at our feet. This habit of mental time travel is so deeply ingrained that the present moment can feel alien and even boring to the conditioned mind. An inner conflict arises between the part of you that craves drama and the part of you that yearns for peace. The ego, the storyteller of the self, needs a plot. And a plot requires a past backstory of wounds and triumphs and a future narrative of goals and fears. The simple, unadorned reality of this moment, with its quiet sensations and lack of narrative, offers nothing for the ego to grasp. So it rebels. When you try to be present, it will immediately serve you a tempting memory or a tantalizing worry. It will say, "Don't just sit here. You need to figure out that problem from work," or "Remember that embarrassing thing you said 10 years ago. Let's analyze it again." It fears the stillness of the now because in that stillness, the story of me begins to dissolve. The conflict is between the mind's addiction to its own stories and the soul's silent, knowing that freedom lies only outside of those stories. In every single moment, you are presented with this choice. Will you inhabit the phantom worlds of thought, or will you inhabit the living reality of your senses? Will you grant your precious attention to the ghosts, or to God, which is simply the name for the totality of what is, right now? Here, the purpose of your practice takes on a new clarity. The present moment is a perfect mirror, capable of reflecting reality with absolute fidelity. It holds no grudges and has no expectations. It simply shows what is. The problem is that for most of us, this mirror is filthy. It is caked with the dust of the past and fogged by the breath of the future. The fingerprints of old regrets smudge its surface. The streaks of anxious planning distort its reflections. We look into this dirty mirror and see a warped, ugly, and confusing image, and we believe that distorted image is ourself. We believe we are the sum of our past mistakes and future fears. The mantra now becomes the soft cloth in your hand, and the practice becomes the gentle act of polishing this mirror. Each conscious repetition of Soham is a single, mindful wipe across its surface. You are not trying to break the mirror or change the reflection. You are simply cleaning the lens. As you inhale So and exhale Hum, you are wiping away a layer of speculative thought. As you return your focus from a memory to the sound, you are polishing away a smudge of regret. Slowly, patiently, with no aggression, the mirror becomes clearer. The fog begins to lift. And what do you start to see? You see what was always there, beneath the grime. The simple, undeniable reality of the now. The feeling of the air on your skin, the pattern of light on the wall, the ambient sounds of the room, the rhythmic rising and falling of your own chest. The reflection becomes simpler, truer, and as the mirror becomes perfectly clean, you finally see your true face, the face you had before you were born into a story of past and future. It is the face of silent, peaceful, ever-present awareness. To make this practice truly transformative, we must carry this mirror-polishing cloth with us throughout our day. This wisdom cannot be confined to a 10-minute session on a meditation cushion. We must learn to anchor the mantra into the mundane actions of our lives, turning chores into sacred rituals of presence. When you are washing the dishes, the mind will want to travel. It will want to relive an argument or plan your weekend. This is the moment of practice. Bring your attention out of the phantom worlds and into your hands. Feel the warmth of the water, see the iridescent bubbles of the soap, and let the mantra Soham become the quiet rhythm of your scrubbing. The act of washing dishes becomes a meditation. When you are walking from your car to your office, instead of being lost in a cloud of anxious thoughts about the upcoming meeting, anchor your mantra to your footsteps. Left foot So, right foot Hum. Feel the solid ground beneath you. Notice the sky above you. The simple act of walking becomes a pilgrimage into the now. Each time you choose to do this, you are polishing the mirror. You are strengthening your capacity to be present. You are reclaiming your life from the tyranny of thought, one breath, one step, one conscious moment at a time. This is how the scroll is truly read. Not with the eyes, but with the full, undivided presence of your entire being, right here, in the clean, bright, and silent mirror of this very moment. You have polished the mirror of the present moment, wiping away the obscuring dust of past and future. You look into its clean, silent surface, and for the first time, you can see a reflection with startling clarity. What you see is a structure, an intricate and complex form that you have always called I. This is your ego. For your entire life, you have believed you are this structure. But the scroll asks you to look closer. It asks you to see that this structure, which feels so solid and essential, is like a magnificent palace made entirely of glass. It is a breathtakingly complex creation, shimmering with light and color, a place you have called home for so long. But it is a home built from the most fragile of materials, and its transparent walls have become the invisible bars of your most profound imprisonment. The next step in our journey is not to polish this palace, but to lovingly, courageously allow it to shatter. Let us examine the architecture of this glass palace of the self. Its very foundation is the single thought of separation, the idea that I am here and the rest of the universe is out there. Upon this foundation, The walls are erected pane by pane. Each pane of glass is a belief, an opinion, a judgment. I am a good person. I am not creative. I know what's right. Each one is a transparent wall that defines and confines you. The great windows through which you view the world are your expectations, coloring all of reality before it even reaches you. The furniture within the palace is your collection of memories and personal stories, the narrative of who you think you are. I am the one who was wronged. I am a survivor. I am my achievements. The countless corridors are your desires and aversions, hallways that lead you on an endless chase for pleasure and an endless flight from pain. This entire, shimmering edifice is constructed from nothing more substantial than thought. And because it is so fragile, it requires constant, exhausting maintenance. It demands the polish of external validation, the reinforcement of being right, the confirmation of its specialness through comparison with other palaces. It is a structure that gleams with the light of self-importance, but it is hollow, and it trembles at the slightest threat to its integrity. Living within this palace is the ego self, a small and terrified king who believes that he is the palace. His entire identity is fused with its fragile architecture. The deepest inner conflict a human being can face is the moment this king realizes his palace is not a fortress, but a cage. A part of you, the soul, the silent awareness, yearns to step outside into the boundless, open air of reality. But the ego king is gripped by a primal terror. It screams that the shattering of the palace will be your own death. It equates the dissolution of its thought-made walls with your personal annihilation. Without my stories, without my beliefs, without my specialness, I will be nothing, it cries. And so it fights. It frantically repairs every crack with self-justification. It furiously polishes every smudge of criticism with defensiveness. It clings to its own reflection with a desperate grip. This is the ultimate battle, the ego's fierce, terrified instinct for self-preservation versus the soul's deep, quiet yearning for liberation. The profound exhaustion you feel in your life is the exhaustion of this king, forever running, forever repairing, forever defending a palace that was never truly real to begin with. The mantra now reveals its most subtle and potent function. It is no longer merely a tool for focus or a vessel for navigation. It becomes a resonant frequency. In the world of physics, it is known that a crystal goblet has a natural resonant frequency. If a singer can produce and sustain a pure vocal note that precisely matches this frequency, the goblet will begin to vibrate in sympathy. It absorbs the energy of the sound until its own structural integrity is overwhelmed, and it shatters into 1,000 pieces. It is not destroyed by a violent blow, but by a sound that is so in tune with its own nature that it cannot resist vibrating with it. The ego, your glass palace, is a structure built on the frequency of separation, on the thought of I, me, mine. The mantra, Soham, is the frequency of unity. It is the sound of I am that. It is the whisper of the universal truth that you are not a separate glass palace, but an inseparable part of the entire landscape. When you consistently and intentionally introduce the resonant frequency of the mantra into your consciousness, you are singing the note of oneness to the goblet of the ego. You are creating a vibration that is fundamentally incompatible with the structure of separation. The mantra does not attack the ego. It does not judge it. It lovingly bathes the glass palace in a sound of a higher, more inclusive truth, and the palace, by its very nature, cannot withstand this vibration. It begins to tremble, cracks appear. The transparent walls begin to dissolve, not into dust, but back into the clear air from which they were formed. This leads to a practice of profound subtlety. Your task now is to become a gentle watchman, observing the architect of the palace at his work. As you sit in meditation or as you move through your day, begin to notice with pinpoint accuracy the arising of thoughts that start with I, me, Or, my, I need to do this. Why did this happen to me? That is my idea. In the past, you identified with these thoughts completely. They were you. Now, see them for what they are. The ego king laying another pane of glass, adding another piece of furniture to his palace. When you notice one of these I thoughts, do not suppress it. Do not judge it. Simply see it, acknowledge its presence, and then introduce the frequency. Take a breath. Silently sound the mantra, so hum. Feel the deep somatic vibration of the hum in the center of your chest. Imagine this vibration radiating outward, a gentle resonant wave that washes over the I thought. Feel the thought lose its solidity. Feel its sharp edges soften. You are shifting your identification from the thought itself to the vibrating space of awareness in which the thought is appearing. You are no longer the king defending his palace. You are the silent, singing emptiness that lovingly holds both the palace and the sound that will dissolve it. This is not an act of destruction. It is an act of liberation. It is the terrifying, exhilarating moment when the glass shatters and you realize you were never the reflection. You are, and have always been, the vast, open, unbreakable space that holds the mirror itself. The glass palace of the ego lies shattered. The intricate architecture of belief, story, and identity vibrated into dissolution by the resonant truth of the mantra. In the silent space where the palace once stood, there is a feeling of vast, open emptiness. This emptiness can be frightening at first. Without the familiar walls of the self, what are you? Where are you? The mind may scramble to rebuild, to gather the shards of glass and glue them back together. But before it can, the scroll invites you to notice what has remained. Beneath the noise of the palace's construction and demolition, something has been here all along, a rhythm so constant and so vital that it was entirely overlooked. It is the gentle, persistent, undeniable rise and fall of your own breath. When all stories fall away, this is what is left. The simple, sacred act of breathing. This is the true ground of your being, the bedrock upon which we will now consciously build a new way of life. For your entire existence, your breath has been your most loyal companion. It was the first thing you received upon entering this world, and it will be the last thing you release. It is a perfect, self-regulating system, a masterpiece of autonomic intelligence that functions without any conscious thought from you. It is the silent river of life that nourishes every cell of your body. Yet, this river possesses a magical quality. Unlike the beating of your heart or the digestion of your food, you can, at any moment, assume conscious control of its flow. You can deepen it, slow it down, hold it. The breath is therefore the ultimate bridge. It is the place where the conscious and subconscious minds meet. It is the sacred isthmus connecting the continent of your voluntary actions with the vast, unexplored world of your involuntary, autonomic self. When you place your awareness on your breath, you are stepping onto this bridge. You are opening a dialogue between the part of you that thinks and the part of you that simply is. You are accessing a control panel for your own nervous system, a direct interface with the deep, ancient wisdom of the body. To neglect this bridge is to live as a stranger in your own home. To walk upon it consciously is to begin the process of profound integration and self-mastery. As you first begin to walk this bridge, to simply place your attention on the raw sensation of your breath, you will likely encounter a powerful gatekeeper, the feeling of boredom. The mind, addicted to the drama of the glass palace, the endless stimulation of thought and emotion, will protest. It will say, "This is it? Just air moving in and out? There is nothing to analyze, nothing to solve, nothing to achieve. This is boring." It will tempt you with 1,000 more interesting things to think about. It is crucial to recognize this feeling of boredom, not as a signal to stop, but as a threshold you must pass through. It is a test of your sincerity. Are you truly seeking peace? Or are you just seeking a more refined form of entertainment? The scroll teaches that within the so-called boredom of the breath, there lies a universe of subtlety and wonder. To stay with the breath, to penetrate the veil of boredom, is to discover the ever-present quiet joy of simply being alive. It is to find richness in the subtle, not the spectacular. The conflict is clear: the ego's craving for content versus the soul's deep need for context, for the simple, grounding container of presence that the breath provides. This is where we introduce a sacred and ancient science, the alchemy of inner transformation. The alchemists of old sought the legendary philosopher's stone, a catalyst that could turn base metals, like lead, into the purest gold. This physical quest was always a metaphor for a much deeper spiritual process. In the alchemy of our practice, your ordinary, unconscious, autonomic breath is the lead. It is the raw, unrefined, life-sustaining, but spiritually dormant material of your existence. Your mantra, SO hum, when infused with your focused, loving awareness, becomes the philosopher's stone. It is the catalyst, the magical element that awakens the hidden potential within the raw material. The alchemical process we are about to engage in is the conscious, deliberate fusion of these two elements. We are going to marry the sound of the mantra to the rhythm of the breath, creating a union so powerful that it transmutes the lead of mere biological existence into the shining gold of pure, vibrant presence. This is the alchemical wedding. It is the moment your breathing is no longer just a bodily function, but becomes a conscious prayer, a vehicle for the highest spiritual truth, a continuous act of communion with the divine. Let us begin this sacred practice. You have already been synchronizing Soham with your breath. Now we will deepen it, embody it, and infuse it with profound intention. Find your quiet space. Close your eyes. Let your breath find its natural, easy rhythm. Now, as you inhale, consciously feel the sound SO entering your body with the breath. But this time, understand that you are not merely inhaling air. You are inhaling prana, the life force of the universe. With the silent sound of SO, imagine that you are drawing in peace from the quiet earth beneath you, clarity from the open sky above you, strength from the unshakable mountains. The in-breath, guided by SO, becomes a conscious act of receiving all the nourishment, power, and love that the universe is constantly offering you. You are filling the vessel of your body with pure, golden, life-giving energy. Then, as you exhale, feel the sound hum, beginning deep within your solar plexus, vibrating up through your chest and throat, and radiating out from you into the space around you. This is no longer just a passive release of carbon dioxide. This is your sacred offering back to the world. With the vibration of hum, you are consciously releasing all that no longer serves you. You release the remaining tension in your muscles, the lingering echoes of fear, the subtle residues of the shattered glass palace. More than that, you are offering your own unique note back to the great symphony of existence. You are exhaling gratitude, broadcasting peace, resonating with love. The out-breath, guided by hum, becomes a conscious act of giving, of blessing the world with the very peace you are cultivating within. Inhale, so, receiving the fullness of life. Exhale, hum, offering your gift back to life. Feel this rhythmic, energetic exchange. You are participating in the fundamental pulse of the cosmos, the great in-breath and out-breath of creation itself. This is no longer a mental exercise. It is a full-body experience. It is a felt reality. The lead of your simple breath, touched by the philosopher's stone of your intentional mantra, is being transformed. Moment by moment, breath by breath, you are performing the great work of the alchemists. You are turning the dense matter of your ordinary self into the radiant golden light of pure, unified consciousness. This is the secret hidden in plain sight, the magic alive inside you, waiting only for your conscious participation. Breathe and be transformed. Through the alchemical wedding of mantra and breath, you have begun to inhabit your body with a new and profound intimacy. As you breathe conscious, golden light into its hidden corners, you awaken not only vitality, but also sensation. And you may begin to notice that certain places within you feel dense, knotted, or heavy. You may discover persistent tensions in your shoulders, a chronic tightness in your gut, a recurring ache in your heart. These are more than just physical symptoms. They are the archives of your life, stored in the library of your cells. They are the energetic imprints of your past actions, thoughts, and emotions. They are the weight of unseen chains. This is the reality of karma, and the scroll now invites you to understand it not as a punishment, but as a pattern you have the power to dissolve. Let us demystify this powerful word, karma. Strip it of all its superstitious baggage, of any notion of a cosmic judge rewarding and punishing you. Karma is simply the universal law of cause and effect, applied to the realm of consciousness. It is the law of momentum. Just as a river carves a canyon in the earth over millennia, your repeated thoughts and actions carve grooves in your own neural and energetic systems. A thought of anger, indulged in once, is a single drop of water. But a thought of anger, rehearsed and acted upon 1,000 times, becomes a raging torrent that carves a deep, familiar channel. It becomes easier and easier to get angry. It becomes your default reaction. This well-worn channel is a karmic pattern. It is an unseen chain forged link by link through your own repetition. We are all bound by such chains. The chain of insecurity, forged by 1,000 moments of self-doubt. The chain of addiction, forged by 1,000 moments of seeking solace outside ourselves. The chain of people-pleasing, forged by 1,000 moments of abandoning our own truth to gain approval. These are not punishments from an external God. They are the natural, impersonal consequences of our own conditioning. They are the heavy chains we have unknowingly forged, which we now drag behind us, dictating our reactions and limiting our freedom. To become aware of these chains is to experience one of the most profound and frustrating conflicts of the human journey. It is the feeling of being a puppet, watching your own limbs move in ways you did not consciously choose. You see the pattern with painful clarity. You promise yourself, "This time I will not react with anger when criticized." And then the criticism comes, and before your conscious mind can even intervene, the heat rises in your face, the sharp words leap from your mouth, and the familiar, toxic energy floods your system. You have once again been pulled by the chain. You promise yourself, "This time I will not shrink and feel worthless when I am rejected." And then the rejection comes, and the familiar, sinking feeling hollows out your chest. The old story of "I am not enough" plays on repeat, and you are once again on your knees, defeated by a ghost. This experience can lead to a deep sense of hopelessness, a feeling of being fundamentally flawed or doomed to repeat the past forever. It is the conflict between the emergent, witnessing awareness that knows a better way and the powerful, gravitational pull of past momentum. You feel the chain tighten, and you feel powerless to stop it. But you are not powerless. The scroll teaches that while you cannot fight the momentum of the past with brute force, you can dissolve its structure with a more subtle and powerful energy. If a karmic pattern is a crystallized, hardened knot of energy, the mantra, carried on the breath, becomes a universal solvent. Imagine a tightly packed crystal of salt. Striking it with a hammer may only break it into smaller, equally hard pieces. But if you place that crystal in a vessel of water and gently introduce a current, a vibration, the crystal will slowly, certainly, dissolve back into its elemental nature. It will lose its form and be reabsorbed into the whole. Your mantra is this water, this vibrational solvent. Your practice is the act of lovingly applying this solvent to the hardened, crystallized knots of your karma. You are not attacking the pattern. You are not fighting your past. You are bathing it in a higher, finer frequency, a frequency of pure, unified consciousness. The vibration of Sohum is a sound of wholeness. The crystallized energy of a karmic knot is a structure of separation and trauma. When the two meet, the greater, more coherent frequency of the mantra begins to loosen the bonds of the old, frozen energy. Link by link, not by force but by resonance, the unseen chains begin to dissolve. This leads to a practice of immense power and liberation, a way to actively participate in your own healing right in the moment a karmic pattern is triggered. The first step is to become a master of recognition. Cultivate a sharp, instantaneous awareness of the moment. A familiar chain begins to rattle. It is a flash of irritation, a pang of jealousy, a wave of social anxiety. In that split second, before the pattern gains full momentum, your work begins. The second step is to immediately drop your awareness out of the story in your head and into the sensations of your body. Where does this chain live in you? Where is the physical anchor of this karmic pattern? Locate it with precision. Is the anger a fiery knot in your solar plexus? Is the insecurity an icy tightness in your throat? Is the grief a heavy weight on your chest? Go directly to the physical sensation. This act alone cuts off the fuel supply to the mental narrative. The third and most crucial step is to flood that location with the solvent of your mantra. Breathe consciously into that knot of energy, and as you breathe, bring the full embodied vibration of your mantra directly into that physical space. As you inhale SO, imagine you are drawing pure, healing light directly into the tightness. As you exhale hum, imagine the deep, resonant vibration is gently shaking the knot loose, breaking up its dense, crystalline structure. See the sound waves penetrating the hardened energy, creating space, creating warmth, creating flow, where there was once only stuckness and contraction. You do not need to understand the origin of the knot. You do not need to analyze it. You only need to meet its dense, low-frequency energy with the fine, high-frequency energy of your conscious breath and sound. This is the great work. Every time you meet a reactive pattern, not with more reaction, but with this embodied vibrational presence, you are dissolving a link in the chain. You are reclaiming your freedom. You are liberating your present moment from the prison of your past. With the vibrational solvent of the mantra, you have been patiently dissolving the dense, crystallized knots of your karmic history. As these unseen chains loosen their grip and fall away, a new quality begins to permeate your inner world. It is a sense of spaciousness, a quietude you may have never known before. It is as if a room, once cluttered with heavy, dark furniture, has been cleared, and now light and air can move freely through it. For so long, our journey has been focused on the tool, on the action, on the sound of the mantra itself. We have used it as an anchor, a boat, a gardening tool, a resonant frequency, and a solvent. But now, the scroll invites us to shift our focus from the tool to the space the tool has revealed. The work is no longer about making a sound, but about listening, with our whole being, to the profound and healing silence that the sound has carved out of the noise. Our perception is conditioned to focus on form, on content, on the object. In a piece of music, we follow the notes, but we rarely appreciate the rests, the silences between the notes that give the melody its rhythm and emotional power. When reading a book, we see the black ink of the words, but we take for granted the white space of the page, without which the words would be an incomprehensible jumble. It is the same with our consciousness. We are hypnotized by the parade of thoughts, emotions, and sensations, the content of our experience. We almost never pay attention to the silent, aware space in which all of this content appears. This space is the background, the context, the canvas. And the ultimate secret of this path is that all the peace, wisdom, and freedom we seek is not in the content, but in the context. The mantra has been our tool for clearing away the distracting, painful content. Now we are left with the canvas itself. This silence is not a dead, empty nothingness. It is the womb of all creation. It is not the absence of sound, but the presence of everything. It is the intelligent, vibrant stillness from which all thoughts, all sounds, and all worlds are born. As you stand on the shore of this vast inner silence, a familiar discomfort may arise. The ego mind, the master of doing, abhors a vacuum. Faced with a silent, open space, its immediate impulse is to fill it. It will whisper, "What now? Am I doing this right? I should be thinking about something important. Perhaps I should chant some more." The ego feels productive when it is active, even if that activity is the circular motion of worry. Pure, contentless being feels like a waste of time, even a form of death, to the ego. This creates a subtle but powerful inner conflict, the habit of seeking versus the art of being. The seeker is always on the move, always employing a technique, always striving for a future goal. The finder simply rests. The mantra was the vehicle for the seeker. The silence is the destination for the finder. The conflict is the temptation to jump back into the boat of the mantra and start rowing again, simply because the motion is familiar and the silence of the shore feels too vast, too undefined. It takes a new kind of courage to release the tool, to trust the space it has brought you to, and to simply be. Let us introduce a new metaphor to guide us. Your mantra is a great and sacred temple bell. For all this time, we have been learning how to strike this bell with skill and intention. We have focused on the initial sound, the powerful vibration of so-hum that reverberates through the body and mind, clearing away the echoes of the prison and the dust on the mirror. But the purpose of striking a bell is not just to hear its initial clang. The true artistry lies in listening to what happens next. It is in listening to the long, beautiful decay of the note, the way its resonance hangs in the air, growing finer and more subtle with each passing moment. It is in following that sound with your entire attention until it fades, and finally merges completely into the perfect, deep silence from which it came. That silence was there before the bell was struck, and it remains after the last echo has vanished. The sound of the bell did not create the silence, it simply made you aware of it. The sound carved a pathway for your attention to travel into the heart of the stillness. So it is with your mantra. Its purpose is not to be chanted forever. Its ultimate purpose is to lead you home to the silence that is your true nature. The mantra is the boat that takes you to the other shore. Once you have arrived, you do not carry the boat on your back as you walk on the land. You leave it at the water's edge with gratitude, and you step onto the firm, silent ground of being. This understanding invites a new depth to your formal practice. It becomes a practice in two distinct yet seamless phases. The first phase is the striking of the bell. You begin your meditation, as you have learned, by consciously engaging with the mantra so-hum, wedding it to the alchemical rhythm of your breath. For 5, 10, or 15 minutes, you use the sound and vibration to gather your scattered awareness, to anchor yourself in the present, and to dissolve the surface-level noise of the thinking mind. You are actively, intentionally using your tool. You are creating the sacred vibration. Then you enter the second phase, the phase of listening. After your allotted time of chanting, you make a gentle, conscious decision to release the mantra. You don't push it away or suppress it. You simply let it go, as you would release a bird from your open hand. You let the final hum dissolve, and then you do nothing. You simply sit, and you listen. Your new object of meditation is the silence itself. Let your awareness rest in the resonant stillness that the mantra has left in its wake. Feel the quality of this silence. Notice that it is not empty, it is full, it is peaceful, it is alive, it is aware. For the first time, you are anchoring yourself not in a sound, but in the absence of sound. Your awareness is resting in itself. Inevitably, a thought will arise, a ripple on the surface of the silent lake. In your previous practice, you would have returned to the mantra. Now, the instruction changes. When you notice you have been carried away by a thought, you gently, lovingly, guide your awareness back to the silence. The stillness is your new home base, your new anchor. You are learning to be comfortable in your own boundless nature without the need for any tool or technique. You are resting on the silent shore, having arrived. This is the great discovery. The sound was the key, but the silence is the treasure. You have walked the path inward, through the echoing prison of the mind, across the turbulent river of emotion, and past the shattered palace of the ego. You have followed the sound of the mantra until it dissolved into its source, the vast, luminous silence that is your true ground of being. This silence is not an end. It is a beginning. It is the fallow field, cleared of weeds and stones, fertile and pregnant with infinite potential. Having arrived at this place of pure, creative stillness, a new and profound question arises. Not, how do I find peace, but, from this peace, what shall I create? The journey now shifts from purification to cultivation, from ceasing to harm to actively choosing to bless. From this silent ground, you will now consciously decide which seeds to plant and which great forces within you to nourish. An ancient and wise story tells of a tribal elder teaching his grandchild about life. "A fight is going on inside me," he said to the boy. "It is a terrible fight, and it is between two wolves. One is evil, he is anger, envy, sorrow, regret, greed, arrogance, self-pity, guilt, resentment, inferiority, lies, false pride, superiority, and ego." He continued, "The other is good. He is joy, peace, love, hope, serenity, humility, kindness, benevolence, empathy, generosity, truth, compassion, and faith." The same fight is going on inside you and inside every other person too. The grandchild thought about it for a minute and then asked his grandfather, "Which wolf will win?" The old Cherokee simply replied, "The one you feed." This story is not a simple parable. It is the most precise and practical map of consciousness ever drawn. The two wolves are the two primary potentials of your own nervous system. The dark wolf is the brain's ancient survival mechanism, its negativity bias, which is hardwired to scan for threats, remember dangers, and obsess over problems. The wolf of light is your higher potential, the capacity of your heart and prefrontal cortex for connection, empathy, and resonant joy. For most of an unexamined life, we unconsciously feed the dark wolf. Every time we indulge in a resentful memory, every time we rehearse a future worry, every time we speak a word of sharp criticism, we are throwing a piece of meat to this wolf. It grows strong, fast, and dominant, while the wolf of light, fed only the rare scraps of a fleeting sunset or a momentary kindness, grows weak and timid. This is the great inner conflict at this stage of the path. You have cleared the space, you have found the silence, and now you make the conscious choice. I will begin to feed the wolf of light. But the moment you do, the dark wolf, so accustomed to being fed, will begin to howl. It will protest loudly. As you try to focus on a feeling of gratitude, the dark wolf will nudge you with a pressing problem that needs solving. As you attempt to cultivate compassion, it will remind you of all the reasons you are justified in your anger. It has been the dominant force for so long that its pull is immensely powerful, its habits deeply ingrained. It will feel easier, more realistic, and more urgent to pay attention to its snarling and whining than to the quiet, gentle presence of the wolf of light. The world itself will seem to conspire to help you feed the dark wolf, presenting you with an endless buffet of outrage, fear, and division. It requires a conscious, deliberate, and sometimes moment-to-moment effort to turn away from that familiar, bloody feast and to begin nourishing the part of you that has been starved for so long. Here, your mantra undergoes its most beautiful and creative transformation yet. It is no longer a weapon against the negative, a shield for defense, or a tool for clearing. It becomes the sacred food itself. It is the very substance of nourishment you will consciously provide to the wolf of light. You are no longer using the mantra just to find peace, but to amplify peace. You are not just using it to escape fear, but to grow love. The sound, so hum, is a declaration of identity. When you feel a flicker of genuine gratitude for being alive, and you consciously breathe that feeling into your heart while sounding the mantra, you are saying with your whole being, I am that. I am this gratitude. You are using the mantra's resonant power to weave that positive state into the very fabric of your nervous system. You are taking a fleeting spark of light and fanning it with the breath of your attention and the substance of your mantra until it becomes a steady, warming flame. This is the art of conscious creation. You are no longer just a victim of your inner states. You are becoming the active shepherd of your own flock of thoughts and feelings, deciding which one to call by name, which one to lead to green pastures, which one to feed with the sacred vibration of your own voice. Let this become your new practice, a practice of hunting for the light. This is not a passive meditation, it is an active quest. As you move through your day, become a scout, tasked with finding any and all signs of the wolf of light. These signs are often small and quiet. It might be the unexpected warmth of the sun on your face during a cloudy day. It might be the genuine smile of a stranger. It might be the taste of your morning coffee, the sound of rain, or the simple, profound relief of taking off your shoes at the end of the day. Our minds are trained to dismiss these moments as insignificant. The practice now is to treat them as the most significant moments of your day. When you spot one of these glimmers of light, stop. Do not let it pass. For just 30 seconds, perform this act of sacred feeding. First, anchor your awareness in the positive feeling itself. Truly feel the warmth, the relief, the small joy. Let it land in your body. Second, begin to breathe with it. As you inhale, imagine drawing that positive energy deeper into your heart space. And as you exhale, introduce the mantra. Feel the hum vibrate through your chest, and as it does, imagine that vibration magnifying the feeling of gratitude or peace, making it stronger, more stable, more radiant. You are taking a transient state and, through the alchemy of your attention and your mantra, turning it into a lasting trait. You are literally rewiring your brain, building and strengthening the neural pathways of peace and joy. You are feeding the wolf of light. Do this again and again. Hunt for these moments, savor them, amplify them, and you will begin to notice a change. The howls of the dark wolf will begin to seem more distant. Its power will wane, not because you fought it, but because you simply stopped feeding it. And the wolf of light, nourished by your constant, loving attention, will grow strong and radiant until its quiet, powerful presence becomes the dominant force in your inner world, your trusted guide, and your truest self. Having nourished the wolf of light, you can feel its steady, benevolent presence growing within you. Its warmth radiates from your heart, and its quiet confidence informs your spirit. But a wolf, no matter how strong, needs a home. A wild animal needs a territory, a sanctuary where it can rest, heal, and simply be. Our journey now evolves from that of a nurturer to that of an architect. We move from feeding a living energy to building a permanent dwelling for it within the landscape of our consciousness. For peace to be more than just a fleeting visitor, it must have a home address inside of you. We will now learn the sacred craft of building this inner sanctuary, brick by patient brick. There is a fundamental human need for a safe space, a place of refuge from the storms of the world. In ancient times, this was a physical location, a sacred grove, a temple, a church, a quiet corner of a home designated for prayer and reflection. It was a place one could go to reconnect, recenter, and find shelter. But in our modern world, which is defined by its relentless pace, its constant noise, and its pervasive uncertainty, external sanctuaries are often difficult to find and impossible to maintain. The ultimate spiritual adaptation, the next step in our evolution, is to construct this sanctuary within ourselves. It is to build a temple that is perfectly portable, utterly private, and accessible in any moment, regardless of external chaos. This is not a fanciful escape into a fantasy world. It is the conscious conditioning of a neurological and psychological state of being. It is the creation of a go-to place of profound calm and stability within your own mind and body, a place you can retreat to, not to hide from life, but to gather the strength, clarity, and compassion needed to engage with life more fully and wisely. This understanding presents us with a pivotal inner conflict, the conflict between being a tourist of peace and being a builder of peace. The tourist seeks out peaceful experiences. They believe peace is a destination to be visited, a week-long vacation, a weekend yoga retreat, a silent morning before the rest of the family wakes up. They consume peaceful moments, and when the external conditions change, the peace evaporates, and they begin planning their next trip. Their inner state is entirely dependent on the outer world. The builder, however, operates from a different, more powerful understanding. The builder knows that circumstantial peace is fragile, but structural peace is unshakable. The builder accepts that true, lasting peace is not a thing you find, but a home you build. The inner conflict arises from our resistance to the patient, daily, and often unglamorous labor this building requires. It is the temptation to chase another fleeting external experience rather than sitting down on a difficult and uninspired day and laying another humble brick on the foundation of your inner home. It is the great shift from being a passive consumer of tranquility to being the active creator of your own unshakable peace. This is the core message the scroll now reveals. Peace is not a mood, it is an architecture. It is a structure built with the materials of your own consciousness. Feelings are like the weather. They are unpredictable, they shift with the atmospheric pressure of life, and they are beyond your ultimate control. You cannot command the sun to shine or the rain to stop, but you can build a house. You can create a structure with strong foundations, solid walls, and a sound roof that provides shelter, warmth, and safety regardless of the weather raging outside. Your spiritual practice is the craft of building this house. The foundation is the silence you have uncovered. Each conscious breath you take is the act of mixing the mortar of intention, and each repetition of your mantra, each silent, resonant hum, is a single solid brick. When you sit for your practice, you are not trying to feel peaceful. You are engaging in the deliberate, focused labor of construction. On some days, the work will feel easy and joyful. On other days, it will feel like heavy, arduous labor. It does not matter. A brick laid on a bad day is just as solid and real as a brick laid on a good day. The integrity of the structure depends not on your mood, but on the consistency of your work. Let us make this sacred construction project your new meditative focus. The first step for any architect is to have a blueprint. So, take a moment now to visualize your inner sanctuary. What does this place look like and feel like to you? Let your imagination be your guide. For some, it may be a grand temple with high, vaulted ceilings and light streaming through stained glass windows. For others, it might be a simple rustic cabin in the woods, with a crackling fire and the smell of pine. Perhaps it is a serene Japanese garden with raked sand and a quiet pond, or a library filled with ancient, silent books. Maybe it is nothing more than a simple, empty room with clean lines and soft, neutral light. There is no right or wrong design. This is your place. What matters is that it evokes a feeling of profound safety, peace, and sanctity for you. Add the sensory details. What are the sounds? The silence, a gentle wind, the distant sound of a temple bell. What are the smells? Old stone, cedarwood, beeswax candles, damp earth. Make this place real in your mind's eye. Now, your daily meditation becomes the act of building and inhabiting this space. When you sit down to practice, you are arriving at your sacred construction site. As you begin to sync the mantra with your breath, you transform the process into conscious labor. With every inhale of SO, visualize yourself lifting a single, perfect brick, glowing with golden light. Feel its weight, its substance. This brick is forged from your pure awareness. With every exhale and every deep, resonant hum, visualize yourself placing this brick with absolute precision onto the rising walls of your sanctuary. The vibration of the mantra is the force that sets the brick firmly in the mortar of your unwavering intention. You are not just repeating a sound, you are building. Some days, your work might be to simply sweep the floors of your sanctuary, using the mantra as a broom to gently clear away the dust of anxious thoughts. On other days, you might visualize yourself lighting a candle of compassion in its center, the flame of the candle fed by the energy of your practice. And on days when you feel weary, your practice might simply be to visualize yourself entering the finished temple, sitting on its cool, solid floor, and feeling the deep, unshakable peace of the structure you yourself have built. You lean against the walls you have laid, and you know that you are safe. You know that you are home. This is your great work, to build within your own heart a sanctuary so solid and so sacred that the world's chaos can never touch it. You have accomplished a magnificent feat. With the bricks of your mantra and the mortar of your intention, you have built a sacred and unshakable sanctuary within yourself. It is a home for the wolf of light, a place of profound peace and stability you can return to at any moment. You have learned to be the architect and creator of your own inner peace. This is a vital and necessary stage of the journey. But the scroll is not yet fully unfurled. It now asks of you one final, paradoxical act of creation, the loving dismantlement of the very sanctuary you have just built. For you are about to discover that the ultimate freedom lies not in having a safe place for the self, but in the realization that the self which needs a sanctuary is the final, most subtle illusion of all. For our entire lives, we have operated under a fundamental, unexamined assumption. It is the assumption of separation. We experience ourselves as a skin-encapsulated ego, a subjective consciousness in here, looking out at a world of objects and other people out there. This feeling of being a distinct, separate individual is the root of all our loneliness and all our fear. Because we feel separate, we feel vulnerable. Because we feel separate, we crave connection and fear rejection. Because we feel separate, we fear death, which appears to be the final annihilation of this precious individual self. This deep, instinctual feeling of being a separate I is the most powerful and convincing illusion the mind produces. It is the primary lens through which we perceive all of reality, a lens so fundamental we don't even know we are looking through it. The entire spiritual journey, every act of meditation, every prayer, every practice is aimed at cleaning this lens until it becomes so perfectly transparent that we see the truth it was obscuring. The boundary between the self and the universe is purely conceptual. It does not actually exist. To stand at the edge of this realization is to face the ultimate inner conflict. It is the terror of the drop of water at the prospect of merging with the ocean. As a single, separate drop, you have cultivated a unique identity. You have your own memories, your own personality, your own story. You have worked diligently to build your own inner sanctuary. The ego, the sense of being this separate drop, will now mount its final and most heroic defense. It will scream that to dissolve this boundary is to commit suicide. It will argue that to merge with the whole is to lose your individuality, your specialness, your very existence. If I am not this separate person, it will cry, then I am nothing. The conflict is between the ego's desperate, terrified clinging to its own sense of selfhood and the soul's deep, intuitive pull toward a homecoming, a remembrance of its own boundless, oceanic nature. It is the fear of annihilation versus the promise of true liberation. It is the final illusion of the separate self versus the ultimate reality of the unified whole. Here, the mantra, So Hum, reveals its deepest and most literal meaning. It ceases to be a tool that you are using. It becomes a statement of ultimate reality, a description of the way things actually are. So means that which is beyond name and form, the totality of existence, the unmanifest potential, and the manifest universe, the ocean itself. Hum means I am the individual expression of consciousness, the wave, the drop. For this whole time, we have used the mantra as a way for the I to find peace. Now, we use the mantra to dissolve the I into that. I am that. The mantra is the constant, rhythmic reminder that the drop and the ocean are not two different things. They are two expressions of one substance, water. The wave is not separate from the ocean. The wave is the ocean waving. You are not separate from the universe. You are the universe expressing itself as you for a little while. When you chant the mantra from this level of understanding, the sense of a separate doer begins to fade. It is no longer you chanting. It is the universe chanting through you. It is the ocean remembering itself in one of its countless drops. This realization is not just an intellectual concept. It must be a lived, felt experience. Let us now engage in a practice to dissolve this final, illusory boundary. Begin your meditation in the familiar comfort of your inner sanctuary. Feel its safety, its peace. For a few moments, enjoy the solidity of the home you have built. Now, as you continue to breathe and sound the mantra, begin to visualize the walls of your sanctuary becoming permeable. Imagine them turning from solid stone into translucent, shimmering glass. You are still inside, but you can now see the entire cosmos, the stars, the galaxies, the swirling nebulae on the outside. Continue your practice, and with each resonant hum, visualize these glass walls becoming thinner, more ethereal. See them begin to dissolve, like mist in the morning sun. Feel the boundary between your inner, safe space and the vast outer space begin to blur. There is no longer an inside and an outside. There is only one, continuous, seamless field of being. The sanctuary has served its purpose as a training ground and has now dissolved back into the totality. Now, deepen the experience. As you inhale SO, feel that this is not just your small personal body breathing. Feel the great forests of the earth breathing in with you. Feel the vast blue oceans breathing in with you. Feel the entire atmosphere of the planet pulsing with your own inhalation. Your personal breath merges with the breath of the cosmos. As you exhale, hum. Feel your personal vibration not as your own, but as a note in the great cosmic symphony. Feel it merging with the hum of the turning earth, the light of distant stars, the silent pulse of all life everywhere. The distinction between your energy and the energy of the universe collapses. You are not a drop of water feeling the ocean. You are the ocean, experiencing itself in the location you call you. There is nothing to fear. You lose nothing but your chains. You lose nothing but the illusion of your own smallness. You do not dissolve into nothing. You expand into everything. You have stood at the edge of the great ocean of being and recognized it as your own self. The illusion of your separateness has dissolved in the light of your awareness, and you have tasted the profound peace of universal oneness. A dangerous and seductive thought may arise from this beautiful realization. If I am already one with everything, then why must I continue to practice? If I have arrived, why continue the journey? This is one of the most subtle traps on the path. The glimpse of the ultimate truth is not the same as the stable embodiment of that truth. The peak experience must be integrated into the valley of your daily life. To bring the boundless light of the universal into the finite vessel of your human form requires a container. To ground the infinite in the finite requires a steady, focused energy. This energy has a name that our culture has taught us to fear, but which we must now reclaim and redefine. That name is discipline. When you hear the word discipline, what comes to mind? For most of us, it evokes images of harshness, rigidity, punishment, and joyless self-denial. It is the voice of the drill sergeant, the stern teacher, the critical parent. This is the discipline of the ego, a force used to tame the personality into submission. But there is another kind of discipline, a spiritual discipline, known in the ancient texts as tapas. This word comes from a root that means to heat. Spiritual discipline is not a cold, rigid force. It is the conscious generation of a sacred inner fire. It is the steady and loving application of your energy toward what you value most. It is the discipline of the sun, which rises every single morning without fail, not because it is forced to, but because it is its nature to radiate light. It is the discipline of a master gardener who tends to her plants every day, giving them water and care, not as a chore, but as a loving expression of her connection to them. We must abandon the idea of discipline as self-punishment and embrace it as self-cultivation. It is the sacred heat that transforms, purifies, and illuminates. With this new understanding, we can now face the inner conflict that undermines every spiritual aspirant, the daily negotiation with our own commitment. The resistance to practice rarely manifests as a defiant shout. It is a sly and subtle negotiator. It whispers in the language of perfect reason. In the morning it says, "You are so tired. Sleep is more spiritual right now. You can practice later." In the evening it says, "You have had such a hard day. You deserve to relax and unwind. You can do a longer session tomorrow." On a good day, it says, "You feel so peaceful already. You don't need to practice today." And on a bad day, it says, "You are too agitated to meditate. It won't work anyway. Wait until you feel calmer." This inner negotiator is the voice of your fluctuating moods, your physical energies, your psychological resistance. It is the voice of the temporary self. The conflict is between this voice and the silent, unwavering vow of your soul. Your soul, the part of you that has tasted the truth, does not negotiate. It does not consult your mood. It has made a sacred commitment to turn toward the light every single day. The battle is between the convenience of the moment and the sacredness of the vow. To help you win this gentle battle, the scroll offers a new metaphor for your practice. Your spiritual life is a sacred fire. When you first begin this path, it may be nothing more than a few fragile embers, glowing faintly in the darkness. Your daily practice is the holy task of tending this fire. Each time you sit down to meditate, you are approaching the fire with reverence. Each conscious breath is you gently blowing on the embers to give them oxygen. Each repetition of your mantra, each sohum, is a small, dried piece of kindling that you lovingly place on the pile. The purpose of this daily tending is not to force a roaring bonfire every single time. The purpose is simply to ensure the fire never goes out. On some days, your attention will be clear and the kindling will catch immediately, the flames leaping high, filling you with the warmth of insight and the light of bliss. On other days, the wood may be damp with distraction and fatigue. The fire will be smoky, sputtering, and require your full, patient attention just to keep it from being extinguished. Your task as the fire tender is not to judge the quality of the flame. Your task is to show up. A fire that is tended to every day, even for just a few minutes, even just by adding a single twig, will maintain its core of heat. It will survive the rains of a bad week and the winds of a crisis. But a fire that is neglected, a practice that is abandoned for the sake of convenience or mood, will quickly grow cold. And to start a fire from cold, damp ashes is a monumentally difficult task. Therefore, let your discipline be transformed from a chore into a sacred ritual of fire tending. First, create a non-negotiable appointment with your soul. Look at your daily schedule and carve out a space for your practice. This is the most important meeting of your day. It is not something to be squeezed in if you have time. It is the rock around which the rest of your day is organized. Second, consecrate your space and time. You can do this with a small, simple ritual. Perhaps you light a single candle to represent the flame you are about to tend. Perhaps you sit in the same cushion or chair each time, infusing it with the energy of your intention. These small acts signal to your entire being that you are transitioning from ordinary time into sacred time. And third, on the days of your greatest resistance, when the inner negotiator is at its most persuasive, make a simple vow, the vow of 5 minutes. Anyone can do 5 minutes. Promise yourself that you will simply show up to the fire and tend it for 300 seconds. The goal is not to have a good meditation. The goal is to honor your commitment. Place one log on the fire. More often than not, the act of showing up is enough to dissolve the resistance, and the 5 minutes will naturally blossom into your full practice. But even if it does not, you have won the only victory that matters. You have shown up. You have kept the fire alive. This is the essence of tapas, the sacred fire of discipline. It is not the harsh, cold command of a general, but the warm, loving, unwavering commitment of a firekeeper, faithfully tending the light of their own awakening. Through the sacred discipline of tending your inner fire, a profound transformation begins to occur. The consistent, loving heat of your daily practice does not merely sustain the light, it begins to alter the very nature of your experience. The practice starts to move. It migrates from your head to your heart. It journeys from being a concept you understand to a reality you embody. It is a phase shift, like water turning to steam, where the solid form of the mantra as a word dissolves into the all-pervading, energetic reality of the mantra as a vibration. You are now invited to let go of the idea of the sound and to merge completely with the feeling of the sound itself. For most of our lives, especially in the modern world, we are trained to live in our minds. We are taught to analyze, to categorize, to label, and to understand things conceptually. We believe that to know about something is to know it. We can read 1,000 books on love, study the neurochemical reactions it produces, and write scholarly articles on its sociological impact. But none of this will give us the direct, heart-stopping, undeniable experience of being in love. There is a vast chasm between the menu and the meal. The spiritual path is the journey of crossing that chasm. In the beginning, your relationship with the mantra was likely intellectual. You learned the words, so hum. You understood their translation, I am that. You accepted the concepts of it being an anchor, a tool, a boat. This is the menu. It is necessary and helpful, but the consistent heat of your discipline has now cooked the meal. The invitation is to put the menu down and taste. It is to let go of the intellectual scaffolding and to move into the building itself. The energetic shift occurs when you no longer care what the mantra means, and you become completely absorbed in what it feels like. This invitation to move from the head to the body, from concept to raw sensation, will trigger a subtle but powerful inner conflict. The part of you that has been the master for so long, the inner analyst, the librarian of your mind, will feel threatened. It derives its sense of safety and control from knowing, from labeling, from understanding. When faced with the invitation to simply feel a non-conceptual vibration, it may become agitated. It will ask, "What am I supposed to be feeling? Am I doing this right?" Let me just review the meaning of the mantra one more time. It fears the vast, open space of pure, unmediated experience, because, in that space, it has no job. It is a king with no kingdom. This is the ego's resistance to letting go of its role as the primary interpreter of reality. The conflict is between the mind's habit of clinging to the safety of thought and the soul's yearning to plunge into the boundless ocean of direct, energetic experience. It is the choice to trust the wisdom of your cells over the cleverness of your intellect. The core message that allows you to resolve this conflict is this: the mantra is not a word, it is a frequency. Its power is not contained in its definition, but in its resonance. Think of a radio. You can study the radio's schematic, you can know the history of the station it is tuned to, but to hear the music, you must simply turn it on and allow the radio waves, which are already filling the room, to be translated into sound. Your body-mind system is the radio. The universe is constantly broadcasting the frequency of peace, of oneness, of love. Your disciplined practice of chanting the mantra is the act of tuning your receiver to that specific frequency. In the beginning, you are focused on the dial, on getting the frequency just right. But once it is locked in, you let go of the dial and you simply surrender to the music. You let it fill the room. You let it vibrate in your bones. The aim of our practice now is to stop chanting the mantra and to start becoming the vibration. It is to tune your entire being so perfectly to the frequency of Soham that the distinction between you as the listener and the mantra as the sound disappears. You are not a person listening to a vibration. You are the vibration itself, experiencing itself. This leads to a practice that is profoundly sensory and deeply embodied. It is a shift in the very direction of your attention. Begin your meditation in your usual way, letting the rhythm of Soham sync with your breath. But now, instead of listening to the sound with your inner ear as a word in your mind, begin to feel for it with your entire body. Let your attention drop from your head down into your chest to the place where the hum seems to resonate most strongly. Let this be the epicenter. For the first few minutes, just rest your full awareness on this physical vibration in your sternum and your heart center. Next, from this epicenter, gently encourage the sensation to spread. Without forcing anything, simply put out the intention for the vibration to expand. Can you feel a subtle echo of the hum in your belly? Can you feel it traveling up your throat and causing a gentle resonance in your jaw and skull? Can you feel it moving down your arms and into your hands, a subtle tingling in your palms and fingertips? Be like a connoisseur of energy, patiently and curiously exploring the subtle sensations within your own body. Don't worry if you don't feel anything dramatic. The intention itself is what matters. Finally, let go of all boundaries. Imagine that every single one of the trillions of cells that make up your body is a microscopic bell, and with each exhale of hum, imagine that you are striking a great cosmic tuning fork, and every cell bell in your body begins to ring in perfect, harmonious sympathy. Feel your entire physical form, from the soles of your feet to the crown of your head, as a single unified field of gentle, blissful vibration. Feel the edges of your body begin to blur. Where does the vibration of your body end and the vibration of the air in the room begin? Let your sense of self dissolve from a solid, fixed object into a boundless, radiant cloud of vibrating energy. You are no longer a noun, a person doing a practice. You have become a verb. You are vibrating. You are humming. You are resonating with the frequency of peace, the frequency of oneness, the frequency of your own eternal, limitless nature. You have learned to become the vibration. Your disciplined practice has transformed your body-mind from a solid, separate object into a boundless, resonant field of energy. This is a state of immense power and potential, but pure energy, like pure white light, is neutral. The next stage of our journey on this path of mastery is to learn how to consciously pass this pure energy through the prism of our intention, giving it a specific quality, a specific color, a specific purpose. We now move from simply being the vibration to directing the vibration. And the first, most important quality we will learn to radiate is the golden red light of karuna, the Sanskrit word for a deep and active compassion. Compassion is one of the most misunderstood virtues. In the common vernacular, it is often confused with pity, which is a feeling of looking down upon another's misfortune from a place of superiority. Or it is confused with a kind of sentimental empathy that can lead to being emotionally overwhelmed and paralyzed by the suffering of the world. True, spiritual compassion, karuna, is neither of these things. It is a clear, strong, and empowered state of the heart. It is the heart's resonant and unwavering response to the fact of suffering, coupled with the fearless aspiration to see that suffering alleviated. And here lies a secret that the scroll now reveals to you. This great, universal compassion is impossible to sustain if it does not begin with the self. It is a universal law. You cannot pour for another from an empty vessel. You cannot truly offer the world the acceptance, kindness, and forgiveness that you refuse to offer your own being. Every act of harsh self-judgment, every internal word of criticism, is a crack in the vessel, allowing the precious water of compassion to leak away before it can ever reach another. The foundation of a compassionate world is a world of individuals who have first learned the radical and revolutionary art of being compassionate with themselves. For many, this is the most difficult work of all. To turn the full force of our loving attention outward feels noble, but to turn it inward can trigger a storm of resistance. The inner critic, the warden of your old prison, will rise up in protest. It will present you with a detailed and exhaustive list of all your flaws, your past mistakes, your failures, and your inadequacies. It will argue, with cold, convincing logic, that you are unworthy of your own compassion. It will say, "How can you be kind to yourself when you know what you've done? You must remain vigilant. You must continue to punish yourself to ensure you don't make those mistakes again." Or it will take another tactic, labeling the act of self-compassion as selfish, narcissistic, or a lazy form of self-indulgence. This is the ego, desperately clinging to the identity of being a problem to be solved. It prefers the familiar, painful story of its own unworthiness to the vast, open, and unconditional space of self-acceptance. The inner conflict is between the deeply ingrained, almost automatic habit of self-rejection and the conscious, courageous choice to lay down your weapons and treat yourself with the same kindness you would offer to a beloved friend who is suffering. To resolve this conflict, we will use a new metaphor. Your heart is a compass. For most of us, the needle of this compass has been demagnetized by years of self-criticism and the search for external validation. It spins erratically, pointing toward whatever promises a moment of safety or approval. It is unreliable and cannot guide us. The practice of self-compassion is the deliberate act of remagnetizing this inner compass. We do this by stroking the needle again and again in a single, coherent direction. The mantra, which has become a pure vibration, is now our means of stroking the heart. By consciously directing the resonant energy of our practice into our own heart center with the specific intention of kindness, we are aligning all the chaotic, scattered particles of our self-concept We are magnetizing the needle of the heart with the invincible, true north of love. And here is the magic. Once the compass is properly magnetized through consistent self-compassion, you no longer have to try to be compassionate toward others. It becomes your nature. The needle simply, automatically, and effortlessly points toward the alleviation of suffering wherever it perceives it. It becomes your unwavering guide. Let us now begin the practical two-stage process of magnetizing the compass of the heart. The first stage, the most crucial, is focused entirely on you. Find your meditative posture. To amplify the connection to your heart, you may wish to place your right hand gently over the center of your chest. Begin your practice of So-Hum, feeling the vibration become established in your body. Now, with your full intention, direct the resonant energy of each exhaled hum directly into your heart, right underneath your hand. Imagine that vibration is a form of liquid, golden light, bathing your heart in warmth and unconditional acceptance. As you do this, hold a simple, silent intention. You may use classic phrases like, "May I be happy," "May I be well," "May I be safe," "May I be free from suffering." Or you may simply hold the feeling of kindness. Feel the mantra becoming the carrier wave for this intention, delivering this potent medicine of loving kindness directly to the core of your own being. If the voice of the inner critic arises to tell you that you are unworthy, see it for what it is, an old, tired echo, and simply continue to apply the warm, vibrating balm of the mantra to your heart. Stay here, with yourself, for the majority of your practice time. This is not selfish. This is the essential work of filling your own cup. The second stage of the practice begins only after you have spent significant time with yourself, when you begin to feel a genuine sense of warmth, softness, or peace in your own heart. Now, you will allow the circle to expand. Keeping your hand on your heart, bring to mind a person whom you love dearly. It could be a partner, a child, a parent, or a close friend. Hold their image in your mind's eye, and now direct the golden, vibrating light of the mantra from your heart to theirs. As you chant So-Hum, feel that you are blessing them with this energy, silently offering them the same wishes. May you be happy, may you be well, may you be safe, may you be free from suffering. After some time, expand the circle again. Bring to mind a neutral persona co-worker, a cashier at the store, and offer them the same gift of your heart's vibration. Then, if you feel able, bring to mind a difficult person, someone with whom you have conflict. This is the ultimate test of your compass. Without getting caught in the story, simply see them as another being who is suffering and offer them the same impersonal, radiant vibration of compassion. Finally, let the circle expand to encompass all beings. Visualize your city, your country, the entire planet held within your compassionate awareness. Let the hum of your mantra be a vibration that envelops the whole world, a silent, powerful prayer for the end of suffering for all life, everywhere. You have become a beacon, a lighthouse of karuna, all because you first had the courage to shine that light on yourself. You have magnetized the compass of your heart. By bathing yourself in the golden light of self-compassion, you have created an inner guidance system that points reliably and naturally toward the alleviation of suffering. But a compass, no matter how true, is useless in the hands of a navigator who is being tossed about by a violent storm. A heart full of compassion, housed within a being who is easily shaken by the winds of circumstance, cannot offer its gifts to the world with any stable or lasting effect. Therefore, having cultivated the soft, warm radiance of the heart, we must now cultivate the cool, unyielding strength of the spirit. We move from the compassionate heart to the unshakable mountain. We will now learn to embody a stillness so profound that it becomes our very identity. Observe the nature of your own mind and emotions throughout a typical day. It is like watching a weather vane spin in a fickle wind. A word of praise from another, and you are lifted, bathed in the sunshine of validation. A slight criticism or a dismissive tone, and you are plunged into the cold shadow of self-doubt. A piece of good news makes you feel expansive and optimistic. An unexpected bill or a negative headline sends you into a spiral of anxiety. We live in a state of profound reactivity, our inner peace rising and falling with the ever-changing weather of our external circumstances. We have outsourced our stability. We have made our well-being dependent on things we cannot control. The opinions of others, the fluctuations of the economy, the health of our bodies, the state of the world. This is a recipe for perpetual anxiety. It is to be a leaf in the wind, and it is exhausting. This reactive tendency creates a deep inner conflict between the part of us that seeks stability and the methods we use to find it. One part of us, the condition seeker, is constantly trying to manage the external world in a futile attempt to guarantee our inner peace. It believes, I will be calm when all my work is done. I will be happy when I find the perfect partner. I will feel secure when I have enough money in the bank. It is always chasing a future set of ideal conditions, a perfect forecast of permanent sunshine. The conflict arises because life, by its very nature, is uncontrollable weather. Storms will always gather. Seasons will always change. The condition seeker is therefore locked in a hopeless and exhausting battle with reality itself. The alternative path is that of the ground builder. The ground builder understands the futility of trying to control the weather. Instead, they turn their attention inward to the only thing they can control, the stability of their own ground. The conflict is between the habit of looking outward for peace and the discipline of cultivating it inward. It is the choice to stop being a weather vane and to start becoming the mountain. Here is the great secret that the scroll now imparts. You are not the weather, you are the mountain. The ever-changing display of thoughts, emotions, sensations, and life events is the weather of your experience. It is real, it is happening, but it is not you. One day, the weather is the sunshine of joy. The next, it is the thunderstorms of anger. Another day brings the heavy fog of confusion or the slow, persistent rain of sadness. The mountain does not resist the weather. It does not complain about the rain or cling to the sunshine. It allows the totality of the weather to happen on its surface, to wash over it, to play itself out. The storm may rage, the lightning may flash, but the mountain is not the storm. The mountain remains utterly and profoundly itself, still, solid, silent, and rooted deep in the earth. Its core is untouched. Its identity is not dependent on the fleeting conditions playing out upon its slopes. To awaken is to shift your identification from the passing weather of your personality to the eternal, unshakable mountain of your true presence. Your mantra, So Hum, now becomes the sound of the mountain itself, a deep, ancient, geological hum, the vibration of pure, silent, unmovable being. Let this become your living meditation. Find your seat, close your eyes, and for a few moments, bring the image of a great and majestic mountain to your mind. See its jagged, snow-capped peaks reaching into the endless sky. See its vast, sloping sides, covered in ancient forests and solid rock. See its base, rooted so deeply into the crust of the earth that nothing could ever move it. Now, begin to feel that you are this mountain. Feel your posture assuming its unshakable solidity. Feel your connection to the ground beneath you as the mountain's deep roots. Feel the stillness in your core as the mountain's heart of solid stone. You are immense. You are ancient. You are utterly still. Now, as you sit in your mountain-like stillness, simply watch the weather of your own experience. A thought about work arises. See it as a small cloud drifting across your face. A feeling of impatience appears. See it as a gust of wind rustling the trees on your slopes. A memory tinged with sadness surfaces. Feel it as a cool rain washing your stony face. A moment of pure joy arrives. Feel it as the warmth of the morning sun. Your task is not to change the weather. Your task is not to judge the weather. Your task is to remain the mountain. The clouds of thought come and go. The winds of emotion blow and then cease. The light and shadows dance across your surface. But through it all, you, the mountain, remain. You are the silent, vast and permanent witness to it all. The weather is what happens to you. It is not what you are. As you hold this visualization, let your mantra be the mountain's own voice. Let the deep, resonant hum be the vibration of the stone itself, the silent, powerful hum of billions of tons of matter resting in perfect stability. It is not a sound you are making, but the sound of your own essential, unshakable nature. Practice this not only in your formal meditation, but carry this feeling with you into your day. When you are faced with a difficult conversation, become the mountain. When you receive criticism, become the mountain. When you are caught in traffic, become the mountain. Let the events of the world be the weather, but let your inner identity be this profound, rooted and silent stillness. You will discover a new source of power within you, not the power to control the world, but the far greater power to remain serene and whole within a world that you cannot control. You are the mountain. Let the storms come. They can never touch you. You have become the mountain. You have discovered within yourself a place of profound, unshakable stillness, an inner core that is unmoved by the ever-changing weather of your life. In this mountain-like stability, you have found a deep and abiding peace, a strength you never knew you possessed. You can allow the storms of emotion and the clouds of thought to pass without being disturbed by them. This is a monumental achievement, a place of great power and refuge. But the scroll now beckons you to take one final, vertiginous step. It asks you to look up from the highest peak of your mountain self into the vast, endless sky, and it whispers a final secret. The mountain, for all its majesty and stability, is still an object. It is a thing, and you are not a thing. You are the space in which all things appear. You are not the mountain, you are the sky. This is the ultimate shift in identification. All of our lives, we have identified with the content of our experience. First, we identified with the fleeting weatherer thoughts and emotions. Then, with practice, we learned to identify with a more stable object, the mountain of our presence. But both the weather and the mountain are forms that appear and disappear within a larger context. That context is awareness itself. This awareness, your fundamental consciousness, has no form, no color, no size, no weight. It is like the sky. The sky itself is never blue or gray, stormy or sunny. The sky is the vast, clear, and empty space that allows for the appearance of blue, the appearance of gray, the appearance of storms and sun. The sky is never harmed by the hurricane, nor is it improved by a beautiful sunset. It remains untouched, unstained, and eternally peaceful behind the display of phenomena. Your true nature is this sky of pure awareness. Every thought, every feeling, every sensation, every memory, every life event, even the profound feeling of being a solid, stable mountain is just a cloud passing through the vast, open expanse of you. To embrace this truth is to face the final and most subtle inner conflict. The mind, the ego, can handle being an object. It can even take pride in being a grand and powerful object like a mountain, but it is terrified of being no thing. The logical mind searches for the sky of awareness and reports back that it cannot find it. It has no shape to grasp, no qualities to analyze. It feels like a pure void, an emptiness, a nothingness. The ego screams that to identify with this vast, empty sky is to cease to exist, to be annihilated. It will grasp at any identity, even a painful one, to avoid this final dissolution into formless being. This is the ego's last stand. It is the conflict between the mind's desperate need for a solid, definable identity and the soul's joyous recognition that its true nature is this boundless, formless freedom. You are being asked to let go of not just your problems and your stories, but of your triumphs and your very identity as a spiritual person on a journey. You are being asked to let go of being the mountain and to dissolve into the sky that holds the mountain, the sky that holds everything. The core message now becomes the simplest and most profound of all. You are the space for the journey, not the traveler on the journey. All this time, you have been working to improve the self, to heal the self, to stabilize the self. Now you see that the self was just a temporary cloud formation. Your true nature requires no improvement, for it has never been harmed. It needs no healing, for it has never been wounded. It needs no stabilization, for it is the very definition of eternal, changeless peace. To realize I am the sky is to inherit all the qualities of the sky. You become boundless. The petty concerns of the cloud self seem insignificant from the vast perspective of the sky. You become transparent. Things pass through you without sticking to you. You become accepting. You allow all clouds, dark and light, to be exactly as they are, without resistance, knowing they are not you and that they too shall pass. Your mantra, so hum, now dissolves into its most subtle form yet. It is no longer a sound you chant or a vibration you feel. It becomes the silent, ambient hum of the sky itself. It is the sound of pure, effortless being. It is the quiet thrum of existence, humming to itself, everywhere and always. Let this realization become your meditation. Let it be the final homecoming. Begin your practice by assuming your posture as the mountain. Feel its solid, rooted strength. You are stable and serene. Now, from the peak of your mountain self, look up and become aware of the vast, open sky that surrounds you. For a moment, be the mountain watching the sky. Then, with a gentle shift of intention, let go of the mountain. Let it become just another feature in the landscape below you. And you become the sky. Feel your awareness expand beyond the confines of your body. Let it fill the room, the city, the planet, stretching out to the farthest reaches of the cosmos. Feel the boundless, open, limitless nature of your own consciousness. You have no center and no edge. You are everywhere. Now, as this vast and silent sky, simply witness the weather. A thought appears. See it as a cloud forming in the vastness of you. Perhaps it is a dark, heavy storm cloud of a worry. Perhaps it is a thin, white, wispy cloud of a pleasant memory. You do not have to do anything about the cloud. You simply notice it. You, the sky, provide the space for it to be. The cloud drifts through your boundless space, and eventually it dissolves, returning to the clear emptiness from which it came. A feeling arises in the body, a tightness, a warmth. See it as a weather pattern, a change in atmospheric pressure within one tiny corner of your infinite sky. You are so vast that these small tempests cannot disturb your immense overall peace. They are local, and you are universal. Your practice is to continually relax back into this sky-like identity. When you find yourself having condensed back into a cloud, identifying with a thought or a feeling, you do not judge yourself. You simply notice, and in that noticing, you automatically expand back into being the sky that is aware of the cloud. This is the end of effort. This is the end of becoming. It is the simple, radiant, and continuous act of being what you already are. You are the sky. You are the awareness. You are free. You have realized your true nature as the sky of awareness, vast, open, and untouched by the passing clouds of your experience. From this boundless perspective, the rigid distinction between your inner world and the outer world begins to feel porous, perhaps even illusory. If you are the sky that holds everything, what is the relationship between the quality of your inner atmosphere and the events that manifest in the world around you? The scroll now reveals a profound law of cosmic dynamics, a principle often misunderstood, which we will explore not as magic, but as the fundamental physics of consciousness. This is the law of resonance. We will come to understand the universe as a great, acoustically perfect resonating chamber that impeccably reflects the truth of your own vibration. Let us first strip the law of attraction of its modern materialistic baggage. This is not a cosmic vending machine where positive thoughts are the currency for new cars and bigger houses. It is a far more subtle, profound, and impersonal law, much like the law of gravity. The principle is resonance. In music, if you have two guitars sitting in a room and you pluck the G string on one, the G string on the second guitar will begin to vibrate silently in sympathy. It cannot help but respond to the frequency to which it is attuned. So it is with consciousness. Your dominant state of being, the feeling tone that underlies your thoughts and actions, is your primary vibration. It is the note you are constantly playing. The universe, in all its infinite complexity, is filled with strings attuned to every possible frequency. It does not judge your note. It does not hope you play a different one. As a neutral resonating chamber, its only function is to amplify the note you are already playing. If you consistently broadcast the frequency of anger and resentment, the universe will faithfully vibrate with you, bringing you more circumstances and people that give you reason to be angry and resentful. If you consistently broadcast the frequency of gratitude and peace, the universe will resonate with that frequency, and you will begin to notice more and more to be grateful and peaceful about. This is not a reward, it is a reflection. This principle operates on many levels. On a psychological level, your inner state determines what your brain filters as important. This is why, when you are feeling anxious, the world seems filled with potential threats. When you are feeling joyful, the world seems filled with opportunity and kindness. The outer world has not changed. Your inner filter has. On a behavioral level, your vibration dictates your posture, your tone of voice, your facial expressions. A person vibrating with scarcity and suspicion interacts with the world in a way that elicits guardedness and mistrust from others. A person vibrating with open-hearted generosity elicits a completely different response. The universe reflects your state back to you through the mirror of other people. And on the most subtle, energetic level, your being becomes a tuning fork that attracts situations and synchronicities that are a vibrational match to your core frequency. To accept this principle is to face two great inner conflicts. The first is with your inner skeptic. The rational mind, trained in a mechanistic worldview, may label this as magical thinking. It demands repeatable, empirical proof. But this law does not operate in a laboratory, it operates in the fabric of your life. The only proof is your own direct experience, your own courageous experiment. The second conflict is with the ego's desire to misuse this law. The ego immediately wants to know, how can I use this to get what I want? It wants to control the reflection. But the spiritual path teaches a higher wisdom. The goal is not to manipulate the universe to get things, but to purify your own being so that you naturally resonate with the highest universal principles: love, harmony, wisdom, and peace. The goal is not to get, but to be. When you are peace, you no longer need to seek it. It comes to you, for it is resonating with its source. The core message is this: the universe is a perfect and impartial mirror. If you stand before a mirror with a frown on your face and shout at your reflection, smile, the reflection will only shout back with a deeper frown. To change the reflection, you cannot manipulate the mirror. You must change the source. You must smile. All the work we have done until this point, dissolving the ego, calming the emotions, stilling the mind, has been the work of cleaning the source. It has been the work of learning how to generate a true, authentic smile from within, one that is not dependent on circumstances. For years, you may have been chanting affirmations for abundance while your underlying feeling state was one of lack and fear. The universe, as a perfect mirror, ignored your words and reflected your feeling. It reflected your lack. The practice now is to stop shouting at the mirror. The practice is to turn your full attention inward and to consciously, deliberately cultivate the vibrational state you wish to see reflected in your life. This transforms your meditation from a passive act of receiving peace into a proactive act of broadcasting it. It is the practice of becoming a conscious, transmitting tower for your chosen reality. Before you begin your day, before you begin your meditation, set a clear intention, but let this intention not be for a thing, but for a frequency. Choose your broadcast for the day. For example, today my core frequency is unwavering patience, or today the note I am playing is one of courageous, open-hearted love, or today my vibration is that of creative flow and joyful solutions. Then, enter your meditation. Use your mantra, So Hum, as the amplifier for this chosen frequency. As you breathe, feel that you are not just finding patience or love, but that you are it. Feel it as a tangible vibrational reality in the center of your chest. With each hum, imagine you are broadcasting this frequency from your heart, outward in all directions. See it filling the room you are in, your home, your neighborhood. See it radiating out across your city and enveloping the entire planet. You are not asking the universe for anything. You are offering the universe your chosen note, clear and strong, adding it to the great cosmic symphony. Then you release it. You go about your day, and your final practice is to watch for the echoes. Be a curious scientist. Notice the synchronicities. Notice the unexpected conversations, the opportunities, the subtle shifts in your reality that seem to resonate with the frequency you broadcasted. You will see that the universe is not a cold, random place. It is a living, breathing, resonating chamber, a divine partner in a cosmic dance, waiting only for you to choose the music. You have tuned your being to the frequency of peace. You have recognized the universe as a great, resonating chamber, faithfully amplifying the song you are singing in your heart. You have moved from being a victim of your inner world to being the conscious creator of your own vibration. But what is the purpose of this beautifully tuned instrument if it is kept locked away in a silent room? What is the purpose of generating this sacred frequency if it is not broadcast, not received, not felt in the world? The journey on the scroll now takes its most crucial and courageous turn. It moves from the solitary work of the meditation cushion into the dynamic, unpredictable, and sacred arena of human relationship. It is time to take the peace you have built within your sanctuary and walk with it, with an open heart, through the marketplace of the world. For most of our lives, we interact with each other from behind a thick suit of armor. This armor is forged in the fires of past hurts, polished with the sheen of our social persona, and decorated with the insignia of our opinions and achievements. We meet not as two open souls, but as two armored knights, shields raised, constantly assessing for threat, jockeying for position, and managing the impression we are making. Our conversations are often not true communion, but a series of transactions and exchange of information, a negotiation for status, a defense of our position. This way of being is exhausting. It requires constant vigilance, immense energy, and it leaves us feeling profoundly isolated, even in a crowded room. We are encased in the very armor we built for our own protection. To walk the world with an open heart is to consciously and courageously set down this armor. It is to choose to meet the world not from a place of defensiveness, but from a place of presence, not with a strategy, but with authenticity. This is perhaps the most terrifying invitation on the entire path. The moment you consider lowering your shield, the ego, your master strategist, will scream in protest. It will play a highlight reel of every time you have been hurt, betrayed, or misunderstood in the past. It will insist with a voice of absolute certainty, the world is not a safe place. If you open your heart, you will be attacked. You will be taken advantage of. You will be seen as weak and foolish. This is the great inner conflict of relationship, the ego's conditioned, fear-based need for self-protection versus the soul's deep, intuitive yearning for genuine connection. The ego believes that safety lies in being closed, guarded, and invulnerable. The soul knows that this is not safety, but a living death. The soul understands a profound, paradoxical truth. The armor that you believe is protecting you is also the prison that is suffocating you. It is the very thing that prevents the love, joy, and intimacy you crave from ever reaching you. It takes immense courage to trust this deeper truth and to begin the slow, deliberate process of unbuckling the armor. The strength to do this comes from the work you have already done. It is because you have become the mountain that you can now risk being the open field. It is because you have built an unshakable inner sanctuary that you no longer need outer walls of defense. Your peace is no longer contingent on another person's approval or behavior. Let us use a simple metaphor. For years, your heart has been a closed, fist-tight, tense, and defensive. A closed fist can protect what it holds, and it can strike out to attack, but it is incapable of receiving anything. It cannot receive a gift, a caress, or the hand of another. The spiritual path is the process of slowly, consciously unclenching this fist. To walk with an open heart is to walk with an open hand. Yes, an open hand is vulnerable. It can be bruised, but it is also alive, sensitive, and able to both give and receive with freedom and grace. You are no longer opening your hand from a place of weakness, hoping the world will be kind. You are opening it from a place of profound inner strength, capable of weathering whatever response you may receive. How do we practice this in the messiness of daily life? We use our mantra as a silent, internal anchor that keeps the heart open, even when the winds of conflict begin to blow. This is the practice of mantra-infused listening. When you enter a conversation, especially one you anticipate may be difficult, take one conscious breath before you speak. Silently set the intention, in this interaction, I will keep my heart open. Then, as the conversation begins, allow a small portion of your awareness, perhaps just 10%, to rest on the subtle inner hum of your mantra. It is not a loud chant, but a quiet, steadying vibration at the very back of your consciousness. This inner hum is your anchor. It keeps you rooted in the stillness of your mountain self, even as the weather of the conversation unfolds. Because you are anchored, you are not so easily hooked by the other person's words, tone, or energy. Their anger or fear does not immediately trigger your own. This creates a small, precious space between stimulus and response. In that space, true listening becomes possible. You begin to listen not just to their words, but to the emotions and the unmet needs behind the words. You listen to the silence between their sentences. You are no longer just interacting with their ego's position. You are sensing the presence of the being behind the armor. And when it is your turn to speak, because you have not been hijacked by a reactive emotional loop, your words will arise from a different place. They will come not from your defensive mind, but from the quiet, open space of your heart. You will find yourself responding with more clarity, more compassion, and more wisdom than you thought you possessed. You are not trying to win an argument, you are trying to create a connection. You are not defending your territory, you are inviting another into your sanctuary. This is the great alchemy of an open heart. It has the power to transmute the lead of conflict into the gold of understanding, one courageous, present, and loving interaction at a time. We have walked a long road together. We have journeyed inward, from the echoing prison of the chaotic mind to the silent, unshakable peace of the mountain. We have learned to navigate the river of emotion, to polish the mirror of the present moment, and to gently dismantle the glass palace of the ego. We have tended the sacred fire of discipline, tuned our being to the frequency of the cosmos, and learned to walk through the world with the courageous vulnerability of an open heart. Each part of this journey has been the slow, deliberate unfurling of a great, invisible scroll that lies within you. And now, we arrive at the final panel. The scroll is laid bare before you, from beginning to end. The journey of reading is complete. The journey of being now begins in earnest. A profound shift occurs when a practice is maintained with love and discipline over a long period of time. In the beginning, our practice is a state we enter. We sit on our cushion, and for 10 minutes we may experience a state of peace. Then we get up, and the state dissolves as we are pulled back into the chaos of our day. The practice is a temporary refuge, but as we continue to show up, as we tend the fire day after day, something miraculous begins to happen. The new neural pathways we have been carving with our attention become stronger, more dominant. The old, reactive pathways begin to atrophy from disuse. Peace is no longer a state we have to visit. It becomes a trait of our very being. It becomes our new baseline. We no longer practice compassion, we simply are compassionate. We no longer try to be present. We find we are simply present. The separation between our meditative self and our worldly self dissolves. The training is over, because life itself has become the meditation. The conscious effort to do the practice gives way to the effortless grace of being the practice. As you stand on this threshold of profound integration, the ego will make its last, most subtle stand. Having failed to keep you imprisoned through fear, anger, and doubt, it will now attempt to co-opt your very liberation. It will try to turn your awakening into its new, grandest identity. A new voice may whisper, "I have done it. I have unfurled the scroll. I understand the secrets of the universe. I am enlightened." It will be tempted to see others who are still struggling as less evolved, to offer advice from a place of subtle superiority, to wear its newfound peace as a badge of honor. This is the ultimate trap of the spiritual path, the creation of a spiritual ego. It is the final, most cunning ghost. But the wisdom of the fully unfurled scroll reveals the truth. If there is an I who can claim to be enlightened, then enlightenment is not complete. The final stage of liberation is not to become a spiritually accomplished person, but to dissolve the very sense of a separate person altogether. The true sign of the scroll's wisdom being lived is not a declaration of attainment, but a profound and simple humility. It is a quiet kindness, an easy laugh, and an ordinary life lived with an extraordinary presence. This is the ultimate message written on the final panel of the scroll. The scroll was never a map to a hidden treasure. It is the treasure, and it was never a document written by ancient masters in a faraway land. Its parchment is your own skin, its ink is your own blood. Its words are the silent, rhythmic pulse of your own awakened heart. The entire journey was simply a process of learning to read the truth of your own being. The mantra was the finger, patiently tracing the sacred letters you had forgotten how to read. The insights were the chapters, revealing the story of who you have always been, beneath the layers of conditioning and fear. Now, at the end, the distinction between the reader and the text disappears. You have become the living scroll. The wisdom is not something you have, it is what you are. The mantra is no longer a tool you pick up and use. It has dissolved into the silent background hum of your presence, the natural frequency of your soul. What then is the practice now? If there are no more techniques to learn, no more stages to pass through, what are you to do? The practice is to forget the practice. The practice is to live. The practice is to take the boundless peace of the sky and use it to wash your dishes with your full attention. The practice is to take the unshakable stability of the mountain and use it to listen patiently to a child's story. The practice is to take the open-hearted compassion you have cultivated and look into the eyes of the grocery store clerk and see the divine being standing before you. The formal time you spend on your meditation cushion is no longer a training session. It is a simple act of remembrance, a return to the silent, familiar hum of home base, which you now know you carry with you everywhere. The goal now is to erase the imaginary line that separates the sacred from the mundane, to infuse every step, every breath, every word, every simple, ordinary act of your life with the extraordinary quality of presence you have awakened. Your life, in its beautiful, messy, unpredictable ordinariness, becomes the living prayer. It becomes the mantra in action. It becomes the final and only expression of the unfurled scroll. There is nowhere else to go. There is nothing else to become. There is only this moment, this breath, this being. Welcome home. You have traveled to the very end of the eternal scroll, from its sealed outer case to its silent, radiant core. You have read its chapters of stillness, courage, and compassion, and you have recognized its truth not as foreign information, but as a deep, resonant memory of your own essential nature. The great work of reading is now complete. But the purpose of this journey was not merely to read the wisdom of the masters. The final, silent instruction of the scroll is this: you must now become the scribe. The ancient text was a primer, a guide to teach you the sacred calligraphy of the soul. The true testament of your journey is not the scroll that you have read, but the one you are about to write. We began this journey in a state of quiet desperation, lost in the echoing noise of a mind at war with itself, feeling the weight of a silence that was not peaceful, but empty. We sought a key, a mantra, hoping it would unlock a hidden door to a faraway chamber of peace. But the journey has revealed a truth far more profound. The key did not unlock a door to another place. It simply quieted the storm long enough for you to realize you were never locked in. It gave you the stillness to discover that you were not the prisoner, not the mountain, not even the sky, but the boundless awareness that holds all things. The power was never in the mantra. It was in the love and attention with which you wielded it. The mantra was the pen, but your consciousness, your intention, was always the hand of the scribe. Therefore, do not deify the tools. The chant, the breath, the visualization, these were the scaffolding used to erect a beautiful building. Once the structure is sound, the scaffolding is removed. Your life is now the temple. Every moment is a new blank page. Every thought you think, every word you speak, every action you take is a stroke of ink upon this page, writing the next line of your own sacred scroll. Know this: you are writing it, whether you do so consciously or not. Will you dip your pen in the old, familiar inks of fear, resentment, and judgment? Or will you, from this place of deep stillness, choose the vibrant, luminous inks of compassion, courage, and grace? This is the only question that matters now. You no longer need to seek for peace. You are the source of peace. You are the broadcaster of the frequency that creates your world. The silence you once feared as a void, you now know as the canvas of all creation. It is no longer empty. It is full of potential, pregnant with the light of all possibility. Stand here, now, in the quiet sanctuary of your own being. Feel the pen in your hand. Feel the vast, silent, open scroll of your life stretching out before you. The next line is yours to write. The journey inward is complete. The journey outward begins. Write well.